When twilight falls upon the hidden leaf, one ninja must rise as the hero of light. Naruto fell in love with Twilight Princess. New world adventures full with fantasies worthy to watch. Let's get started. Naruto as Link. Midna, imp and human, as herself. Note. The reason why I had Midna play as herself is because I doubt that any other Naruto female character could ever replace Midna. Sakura as Ilia. Note. What? I kind of thought that Sakura would fit Ilia because they're both feisty. Especially when it comes to Link being too hard on Epona in Ilia's case, and Naruto being an idiot in Sakura's case. Sasuke as Zant. Note. In my Naruto version of Wind Waker, Sasuke was a bad guy in the beginning but later on became a good guy later on in the story, kind of like Gaara. But in this story, he's a full-time bad guy for sure. Orochimaru as Ganondorf. Note. I was going to have Pain play Ganondorf because they both kind of have orange hair, but I think Orochimaru makes a perfect Ganondorf, don't you think? Kakashi as Russell. Sai as Colin. Note. I kind of thought that Sai would play Colin because of his friendship with Naruto. Hanari. Note. She's also known as Kakashi's old girlfriend as shown in episode 191 of Naruto Shippuden. But please pretend that she's Kakashi's wife, okay? Ino as Beth. Note. She has a crush on Naruto and Shikamaru in the beginning like Beth has a crush on Link, but later on has a crush on Sai after he saves her from King Bulban like Colin did, to which Beth now has a crush on Colin instead of Link. Choji as Malo. Note. Well, I kind of love the idea of Choji Mart which just popped up into my head, but please tell me what you think. Shikamaru as Talo. Note. He's kind of Ino's boyfriend in the beginning of the story, but Ino later on has a crush on Sai. Kurenai as Perji. Note. I know that she and Asuma aren't married, but I thought that she would fit Perji aka Talo and Malo's mom and Jaggle's wife. Shion as Princess Zelda. Note. I was thinking about having Hinata or Akari, from Naruto Shippuden, Dragon Blade Chronicles play Zelda, but Zelda isn't really as shy as Hinata is. Anko as Telma. Note. What? I thought that Anko would fit Telma because of her voice. Asuma as Jaggle. Note. I know that Asuma and Kurenai aren't married, but please pretend that they are in this story, okay? Jiraiya as Mayor Bo. Note. I know that Jiraiya and Sakura aren't related, and Mayor Bo isn't that perverted as Jiraiya, but to me, the relationship between him and Tsunade is almost like a romantic one, don't you think? Iruka as Fado. Note. Due to Fado's close friendship with Link, I thought that Iruka would be able to play Fado. Ayame as Sarah. Note. What? I kind of pictured Ayame as Sarah because of Ayame's father and daughter relationship with her father, Tsuki, aka the ramen guy. Tsuki, the ramen guy, as Hanch. Note. I know that Tsuki and Ayame are father and daughter, but please pretend that they're married in this one, okay? Gaara as Prince Rallis. Note. I kind of thought that Gaara would make a perfect Rallis. Karura as Queen Rutella. Note. Since I heard that Karura died, I thought that she would also fit Rutella since she's dead in the game XS Polyr X. Tamari as Ashe. Note. In my own version of Twilight Princess, she is on a search to find Gaara and Kankuro, her brothers, after they were trying to go to Hyrule Castle by telling Shion that their parents were dead because of Sasuke, Zant. Kabuto as Shad. Note. I was originally going to cast Kabuto as Zant, due to his loyalty to Ganondorf like how Kabuto is to Orochimaru, but since Shad and Kabuto are both nerdy, I thought, why not have Kabuto play Shad instead of Zant? Oh come on, guys. Some of us already know that Sasuke is being a maniacal, evil, and cruel person as we speak. Baki is Aura. Zabuza as Renato. Note. I kind of thought that Zabuza would make a perfect Renato. I know he was a bad guy as shown in the beginning of Naruto, but you have to feel bad for both Zabuza and Haku, right? So in this one, Zabuza's a good guy. Haku is Luda. Note. I know that Haku is a boy, and I know that he and Zabuza are not father and son, but I kind of sense a hint of a father and son relationship between the two of them. Don't you think? Ebisu is Barnes. Note. Oh come on, we all know that Barnes and Ebisu wear glasses, so why not cast Ebisu as Barnes? Lady Granny Chio as Impas. Note. The reason why I cast Chio as Impas is because of how Impas helped Ilia and gave Link her necklace to give to Ilia, which is later on known as the Horse Call. So, I kind of thought that Chio would make a perfect fit for Impas because of her relationship with Sakura as shown in the beginning of Naruto Shippuden. Gorons as themselves. Zoras as themselves. Yeta as herself. Yeto as himself. Note. I don't think any of the Naruto characters out there could ever replace Yeto and Yeta. I love these Yetis and I hope you do too. Gamakichi as Oku. Gamatatsu as Oku Jr. Note. I thought that Gamakichi and Gamatatsu would fit Oku and Oku Jr. The Twilly as themselves. The Sages as themselves. Kiba as Telma's son. Note. I know that Telma doesn't have a son, and I know that Anko and Kiba aren't related, but please pretend that they are, okay? Akamaru is Louise. Note. I know that Louise is a female cat, but I thought that Akamaru, when he was little, would be able to play Louise. Deidara as Koro. Note. I know that Deidara is a bad guy because he's a member of the Akatsuki, but please pretend that he's a good guy in the story, okay? Conan is Iza. Note. I know that Deidara and Conan are not siblings, but please pretend that they are, okay? Shizune is Henna. Note. I know that Shizune, Conan and Deidara aren't siblings, but please pretend they are, alright. Shino is Ajitha. Note. Okay, look. I know that Shino is completely out of character as he's playing Ajitha, but we all know that they both like bugs, right? So please pretend that Shino is Ajitha, okay? Toby is Falby. Note. I thought he would kind of fit Falby since Falby dresses like a girl. Suigetsu is Fire. Note. I think that Suigetsu kind of fits Fire, don't you think? Yamato is Perlo. Note. I can kind of picture Yamato doing the goalie eyes look when he says, don't come again. Hikaru is Hana. Konohamaru is Keely. Udon is Misha. Danzo is Chudley. Homura as Malvar. Tsunade is Sakura's mom. Note. I know that Tsunade and Sakura aren't related, and I know that Ilya's mom is dead, but please pretend that she is alive, okay? Note. I hope you like the cast, and please enjoy the story. In the village of Konoha, there lived a young boy named Naruto Uzumaki. He was the son of the fourth Hokage, Minato Yondaime Namikaze Uzumaki, who died about 17 years ago when Naruto was only a baby after sealing the nine-tailed fox, also known as the Kyuubi, inside of him. 12 years later, Naruto became a problem child at the Ninja Academy by pulling pranks and being a bit of a spoiled brat. But later on in his life, he later grew to be accepted by the other villagers of Konoha who once shunned him because of the Kyuubi living inside of him. He also had two best friends named Sasuke Uchiha and Sakura Haruno who were his teammates in Squad 7 and had a teacher named Kakashi Hatake. However, about a year later, Sasuke left Konoha and had gone to Orochimaru after he was given the curse mark by him to kill his brother, Itachi, for killing the Uchiha clan. Now, 4 years later, a 17-year-old Naruto is still living in Konoha. Not only is he a ninja, but he's also a goat herder. Let's see what's going on in his life, shall we? One day, when it was sunset, Naruto and Kakashi were sitting by the forest of Death Spring that was near the village of Konoha. It seems like they were having a conversation. Let's see what they're talking about, shall we? Naruto, I have an important mission to go to Hyrule Castle in Hyrule that's located in the Land of Grass. I was supposed to go bring a gift to Princess Xian in 2 days from now that was given to me by Lady Tsunade. Yes, it was a task set by her, but, Naruto, will you take my place? Asked Kakashi as he looked at Naruto. But, Kakashi-sensei, why do I have to go? Can't you go by yourself? Asked Naruto. Well, I kind of have a book which was written by Master Jiraiya, and it's been released at the library, and he's waiting for me to come pick it up. So Naruto, will you please go to Hyrule Castle for me? Please? Asked Kakashi. Okay, I guess. Said Naruto. Naruto, you've never been to Hyrule, right? Asked Kakashi. No. What's it like in Hyrule? Asked Naruto. Well, in the kingdom of Hyrule, there is a town that's not as big as the village hidden in the leaves in the Land of Fire. Naruto, you must see Hyrule with your own eyes. Said Kakashi as he stood up, looked at Naruto, and said. Come on, Naruto. Let's head back to the village. It's getting late. I will talk to Lady Tsunade about this. When Naruto and Kakashi got back to Naruto's house, Kakashi was leaving Naruto at his house with his son, Sai, and his pregnant wife, Hinari. See you tomorrow, Naruto. Said Sai with a smile. Yeah, see you tomorrow. Sai. Said Naruto who smiled back at him. As Naruto went upstairs to take a nap, Sakura took his horse, Epona, to the forest of Death's Spring. Just then, Iruka came up to Naruto's house and hollered. Hey, Naruto. You there? Naruto. Huh, what is it, Iruka-sensei? Asked Naruto as he came up to the window. Do you mind helping me herd the goats? They're not listening to me lately. Replied Iruka. Sure, I'll be right there. Said Naruto as he left his house and went to go meet Iruka outside. There you are, Naruto. I'm glad you could make it. By the way, do you know where Epona is? Asked Iruka. Yes, and I think know the person who took her. Sakura. Said Naruto as he went off to the forest of Death Spring to see Sakura. At the forest of Death Spring. As Sakura was washing Epona with the water from the spring, an angry Naruto appeared. Sakura, what are you doing with my horse? Asked Naruto who shouted. Your horse? You mean, mine? Asked Sakura. Shut up. Sakura, you've been stuck with Sasuke for 6 years, and now you're stuck with Epona. I thought she was my horse. Not yours. Cried an angry Naruto as Sakura punched him. You idiot. You promised me that you'd never speak Sasuke's name again. You know how I feel if ever someone like you says his name, said an angry Sakura. Oh, whatever. I just need Epona for work. Now may I please have her back? Asked Naruto. Alright, Naruto. You win. Here, take Epona. By the way, you do know that Epona's a girl, right? Asked Sakura. Of course I do. She's a girl just like you. Come on, Epona. Let's go. Said Naruto as he was about to leave. Naruto. Said Sakura. What is it, Sakura? Asked Naruto as he turned around to look at Sakura. Maybe after you're done with work, we can go out to dinner to Ichiraku Ramen. But you're paying. Cried Sakura. Wait. You mean, you're going out on a date with me? I've longed to hear those words coming from your lips for 10 years now, Sakura. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Cried Naruto as he tried to kiss her, to which she punched him. Hey, I'm not ready for a kiss yet, you doofus. Cried Sakura. Fine. Muttered a rejected Naruto as he was on his way to work at the Konoha ranch. As Naruto got to the Konoha ranch, he saw Iruka standing there while waiting for him. Oh, there you are, Naruto. Sorry if I had to get you over here in such a hurry. These scamps haven't been listening to me lately. It seems you're the only one they listen to. Naruto, will you mind herding the goats for your old teacher? Asked Iruka. Well, okay. Said Naruto. Great. I had a feeling you'd say that. Now get to work. Cried Iruka. Yes, Iruka-sensei. Cried Naruto as he herded the goats. One goat herd game later. After Naruto was done herding the goats, Iruka said. Yeehaw. Now that's one heck of a job you did there, herding up the goats and all. But now that you came all this way just to work, I thought I might want to build the fences. Be right back. 30 minutes later. I've waited for 30 freaking minutes just for you to build the fences. Man, I'm already late for my date with Sakura. Gotta go. See ya, Iruka-sensei. Cried Naruto as he and Epona headed to Ichiraku Ramen for his date with Sakura. After Naruto's date with Sakura, he headed back home to get ready for bed. As soon as he went to bed, he fell fast asleep. The next day, while Naruto was sleeping, Shikamaru, Ino, and Choji were outside his house waiting for him to wake up. Naruto, Naruto, cried Choji. Hey, Naruto, wake up, cried Ino. Naruto, wake up, you sleepyhead. It's morning, cried Shikamaru. I know what'll wake him up, said Shikamaru to himself as he threw a rock at Naruto's window as it surprisingly went through his bedroom window as the glass began to shatter, which awoke Naruto with a start. Naruto then got up out of bed, opened his window and yelled to Shikamaru. Shikamaru, you're going to pay for that. Sorry, Naruto, you wouldn't wake up, so I had no choice but to throw this rock at you. Now get your lazy butt out of bed and get down here immediately. Cried Shikamaru. Okay, just let me get dressed, Shikamaru. Geez, what more do you want? Asked Naruto as he was taking off his pajamas, putting on his orange shirt with a red flame on it, and blue jeans, and was on his way outside of his house. As Naruto finally reached Choji, Ino, and Shikamaru, they were impatiently waiting for him. Ah, there you are, Naruto. What took you so long? Asked Shikamaru. I was getting dressed and having breakfast, of course. Cried Naruto. Well, whatever. Anyways, did you hear about the new slingshot opening up at Ayame's shop? Asked Shikamaru. Yeah, so what about it? Asked Naruto. Well, you see, Choji and I both want it, said Shikamaru. Shikamaru, you and Choji are both 17. You don't see 17-year-old teenagers like me, Sakura, and Ino carrying a slingshot around with you, now do you? Asked Naruto. Yeah, Shikamaru. Naruto's right. Look, if you and Choji both want that stupid slingshot so badly, then why not you buy it at my mom's shop, down by Ichiraku Ramen? Asked Ino. Ino, do you see any cash on me? I don't think so. Choji doesn't have any money either. We're both broke. Besides, can't you at least ask your mom if we could borrow it just for one day? Please, Ino. Asked Shikamaru. Well, I would give it to you, but you'd have to pay for it if I gave it to you. But sadly, my mom's been a little moody for the past 3 days, said Ino. Moody? Why? Is she sick? Asked Naruto. No, it's not that. You see, our cat, Naruto, ran away from home. So my father's been out in the village searching for him. But sadly, we can't find him anywhere. Naruto, would you mind finding our cat for us? Asked Ino. Okay, Ino. But, would your parents reward me if I brought him back? Asked Naruto. Maybe. Who knows? Maybe if you brought him back to us, then they'd probably give you something really nice. Cried Ino as she gave Naruto a flirty smirk. Yeah. Well anyways, I'm going off to find him. Said Naruto as he went to go find Naruto, the Yamanaka's family cat. As Naruto was looking for the Yamanaka family cat, he was carrying a bottle of milk and a plate to give to the cat. Naruto. Here, Naruto. Come here boy. Said Naruto as he began doing kissing sounds. Wait a minute. Why am I saying a cat's name if he's named after me? Oh well, I might as well continue to find him. Unless. That's it. I could go fishing. Cats love fish. But shoot. What am I going to do? I don't have a fishing rod. I know. Maybe I can ask the villagers if they have a fishing rod I can borrow. Cried Naruto to himself as he began asking some of the villagers if they had a fishing rod for him. Just then, a worried Hinari appeared. Hinari was Kakashi's wife, and Sai was their son. Sai looked up to Naruto, and shared a close friendship with him like Naruto used to share with Sasuke until he left Konoha 4 years ago. Naruto! Cried Hinari as she ran to Naruto. Oh, hi Hinari. How are you doing this fine afternoon? Asked Naruto. Not so good. Said Hinari. Why's that? Is something wrong? Asked Naruto. Naruto, I hate to bother you, because you and Sai get along really well and all, but, you didn't happen to see a baby's cradle around here, did you? Asked Hinari. Nope. Sorry. But I'll try to help you find it. Said Naruto. You will. Great. Thanks, Naruto. You're such a good friend to Sai. How can I ever thank you? Asked Hinari. Well, it's all part of my job. Helping the people that I care about. Cried Naruto with a grin as he gave Hinari the thumbs up sign. Wait. If I find your baby cradle, what will my prize be? Asked Naruto. Well, that's a surprise that you'll have to find out after you find it. Said Hinari. You can count on me, Hinari. Cried Naruto as he went to look for her baby cradle in the village. As soon as Naruto found some hawk grass in the grass, he decided to play it, to which he ended up summoning a hawk. After he played it, he threw the hawk at a nearby monkey that had the cradle. When the hawk gave back the baby cradle to Naruto, he decided to give it back to Hinari. An overjoyed Hinari was so happy to see that Naruto returned her baby cradle to her. Oh my, Naruto. Did you go through all the trouble just to find that baby cradle for me? Thank you. Thank you so much. Cried Hinari. You're welcome. So what's my prize, Hinari? Asked an ecstatic Naruto. Hinari then giggled, and said, Okay, Naruto, I will give you your prize. Here you go. As she gave Naruto the fishing rod. Naruto, would you mind bringing that cradle back to my house? Asked Hinari. Okay, Hinari. Don't mind if I do. Cried Naruto as he brought the cradle back to the Hitaki house. Thanks again for bringing that cradle for me. Sai made that fishing rod under the directions of his father, Kakashi. Sai was hoping that you'd like it. Said Hinari. Are you kidding? I love this fishing rod. In fact, I'll go thank Sai right now. Cried Naruto as he ran back to his house. As Naruto was on his way back to his house, Kakashi appeared. Oh, good afternoon, Naruto. Said Kakashi. Kakashi-sensei. What are you doing here? Asked an angry Naruto with anime bulging white eyes. Sorry, Naruto. I didn't mean to scare you. Anyway, I've just brought something up to your room. I hope you like it. Cried Kakashi with a smile. Kakashi-sensei, how many times do I have to tell you? Never come to my house unless I'm there. Capiche? Asked Naruto. Right. Well, have a good day. Bye. Cried Kakashi as he went back to the Hitaki house. Hey, Sai. Said Naruto as he went to walk up to Sai. Oh, hi, Naruto. I see you have a day off from work, Epona gets a day off, too. Isn't that great, Naruto? Asked Sai as he smiled at Naruto. Yeah, it's great. But anyways, I didn't want to talk to you about Epona. I wanted to talk to you about my fishing rod that your mother gave me. I can see how much hard work you've put into, said Naruto. Oh, really? Do you like it? Asked Sai. I love it, Sai. Thanks, man. Cried Naruto as he gave Sai a friendly hug. I knew you'd like it. Why don't you go test it out right now? Asked Sai. I would, but first I have to go inside my house to see what your dad brought for me. See you in a few. Cried Naruto as he went inside his house. When Naruto got inside his house, he saw a wooden sword laying on his bed. That's weird. Why would Kakashi-sensei bring me a sword? I'm a ninja, not a swordsman. Oh well, might as well use it. thought Naruto as he put it in his sheath that came with the sword. After Naruto left his house, Shikamaru, Choji, Ino, and Sai noticed that their hyperactive friend had a sword. Whoa, Naruto has a sword. Hey, teach us how to use one, cried Shikamaru. Well, okay, said Naruto. All right, cried Shikamaru as Naruto began to show the students of Team 10 how to use a sword. All right, first, we want to see that move, cried Shikamaru. Oh, you mean the horizontal slice, right? Asked Naruto. Yeah, come on, Naruto, show us, cried Ino as Naruto performed the horizontal slice attack. Oh my, that was so amazing, Naruto, swooned Ino. All right, next, the vertical slice, cried Shikamaru as Naruto performed the vertical slice attack. Hey, Naruto, show us that move next, cried Ino. You mean, the spin attack? Asked Naruto. Yeah, show us that one, cried Shikamaru. Come on, Naruto, show us, cried Ino as Naruto performed the spin attack. Whoa, cried Choji, Ino, and Shikamaru in unison. Wow, you're so awesome, Naruto. I'm sorry if these brats are taking up your time. Why not test out your new fishing rod? Asked Ino. Wait, Naruto, don't go yet, cried Choji. Huh, what's the matter? Asked Naruto as he was about to leave Sai alone with Choji, Ino, and Shikamaru. There's still one more move that you have to teach us, cried Ino. Oh, you mean this move? Asked Naruto performed the jump attack. Whoa, cried Choji, Ino, and Shikamaru in harmony. Man, Naruto, you're really amazing, said Shikamaru. Hey Naruto, are you going to buy that slingshot? Asked Choji. Choji, cried Ino as she punched him. Ow, Ino, cried Choji. Choji, how many times do I have to tell you? If ever you and Shikamaru enter my parents' shop, my mom will kick you guys out. She's in a really mellow mood right now, said Ino. But Ino, said Choji as he was cut off by Ino as she said. I'm not repeating myself. Fine, muttered Choji. Anyways, I'm going fishing. See you guys later, said Naruto as he went to go fishing in a lake that was somewhere in the village. While he was fishing, he caught a fish. Suddenly, as a fish came out of the water, the Yamanaka family cat snatched it from Naruto after following the scent, and ended up bringing the fish back to the Yamanaka family shop. Hey, come back here with my fish, cried Naruto as he followed the cat back to the Yamanaka family shop. When Naruto got inside the Yamanaka family shop, he saw an overjoyed Ayame reunited with her cat, Naruto. Oh my, Naruto, come in, look at what my darling cat did. Listen to this, Naruto. My cat, my own cat caught a fish all by himself. Naruto, how do you think he did it? Asked Ayame. I don't know, maybe he's a genius, said Naruto. Wait, don't tell me you went off into the woods, and then my cat followed the scent to the fish you caught and came back all the way over here with the fish in his mouth, and came right back into my shop, did he? Asked Ayame. Yeah, well, Ino wanted me to find him for you, and I kind of felt bad that you lost your cat. Well, here he is, Ayame, safe and sound, said Naruto with a smile. Thank you, Naruto. Hey, now that you've come all this way, what can I get for you today, my dear? Asked Ayame. How about that slingshot over there? Asked Naruto pointing to the slingshot. Whoa, hold on there, Naruto. Aren't you a little too old to be using a slingshot? Asked Ayame. Yes I am, said Naruto. Well, will you at least let Konohamaru and his friends play with it? Asked Ayame. Sure, said Naruto. Ah, I almost forgot. Here's some pellets for the slingshot, and a bottle of milk. No, you don't have to return the bottle to me, Naruto. Go on, take it, it's yours to keep, said Ayame. Wow, really? Thanks, Ayame. Bye, cried Naruto as he left the shop. When Naruto got back to his house, Shikamaru, Choji, and Ino noticed that Naruto got a slingshot. Hey, Naruto has a slingshot. Cool, cried Shikamaru. Hey Naruto, how much was it? Asked Choji. Hey, Choji, Shikamaru, knock it off, you two. Naruto, don't listen to anything these brats have to say. They don't know what they're saying, cried Ino as she smiled at Naruto in a flirty way. All right then, Naruto, show us what you can do with that slingshot, cried Shikamaru as Naruto showed the students of Team 10 how to use a slingshot. All right Naruto, let's see if you can shoot those targets over there, cried Shikamaru as Naruto shot the targets with the slingshot. Okay, I guess you're getting the hang of it. Next, hit those scarecrows, said Shikamaru as Naruto shot the scarecrows with the slingshot. Man, Shikamaru, I can't believe that you and Choji are so obsessed with trying to learn how to use a slingshot. First, you want to know how to use a slingshot, and then the next thing you know, you want to learn how to use a sword. I mean, come on. Seriously, when are you brats ever going to learn to grow up? Asked an angry Ino with anime bulging white eyes. Anyway, thanks for showing us those moves there, Naruto. I kind of get it. Sort of. Just wait until one of those naughty monkeys show up, and then, said Shikamaru as a monkey appeared. Hey, come back here, you! Cried Shikamaru as he, Choji and Ino ran off to the Forest of Death. When Naruto got on Epona and rode to the Forest of Death, he saw Ino and Choji standing there at the entrance. Choji, Ino, where's Shikamaru? Asked Naruto. He went in there. Sadly, Choji and I can't keep up with him, said Ino. Naruto, the rest is up to you, said Choji. With a quick nod, Naruto got off of Epona, told Ino and Choji to look after her, and ran inside the Forest of Death to rescue Shikamaru. To Naruto and Sakura, it was a place that seemed to bring back a lot of memories. Why, this was the place where their old friend and teammate, Sasuke Uchiha, had been given the curse mark by a man named Orochimaru. You see, Orochimaru had shown great interest in Sasuke as Sasuke became a prodigy and therefore trained Sasuke so he could kill his brother, Itachi, for killing the Uchiha clan under Konoha's orders. But after hearing why Itachi really killed the Uchiha clan, Sasuke and Itachi made up, and thus Itachi ended up becoming Sasuke's right-hand man. But enough about that. Now let's go to the present. Soon after, Naruto found Shikamaru locked up in a cage with that same monkey, which was a girl from before. Help! Somebody help me! Cried Shikamaru. Shikamaru! Cried Naruto as he saw two bokoblins right next to the cage that Shikamaru was trapped in. Naruto then used his shadow clone jutsu to kill the bokoblins. After the Naruto shadow clones killed the bokoblins, Naruto destroyed the cage that Shikamaru and the monkey were in as the duo were set free. A while later, Naruto and Shikamaru were exiting the Forest of Death after Choji and Ino went to go and tell the other villagers about Shikamaru's capture. Hey, Naruto, thanks. You know, if you hadn't come right away, then me and that monkey would have been dead meat. That monkey's a pretty nice girl, too, I must say. She tried to protect me, but then we ended up getting captured together. But Naruto, you know what my dad always tells me? He always tells me to never ever go into the Forest of Death. Just like the time that Sasuke got the curse mark by Orochimaru, my dad doesn't want me to run into Orochimaru like Sasuke did. The Forest of Death can be a dangerous place, I tell ya. So Naruto, promise me you won't tell my dad, okay? Please, Naruto, you have to promise, cried Shikamaru as he ran back to the Hidden Leaf village. Naruto, cried a voice that belonged to Kakashi. Huh, Kakashi-sensei, what are you doing here? Asked Naruto. I came as fast as I could. My son, Sai, told me everything. It seems Shikamaru went home already, no. Anyway, it's been 5 years since your encounter with Orochimaru here in the Forest of Death, said Kakashi. Yes, and it's already been 5 years since Sasuke got the curse mark from Orochimaru, said Naruto as he remembered the day that Sasuke got the curse mark. Anyway, Naruto, well, tomorrow's finally the day that you head off on your mission to Hyrule Castle in the Land of Grass. I'm so honored that I gave this task to you. So Naruto, I wish you good luck, and please come home safely. Hey Naruto, if you're lucky, maybe you might even get to meet Princess Xian. Chuckled Kakashi. The next day, Naruto was laying down on the grass in Konoha Ranch. While he was imagining what Hyrule would be like, Iruka called him. Hey, Naruto, cried Iruka as he walked up to Naruto. What is it, Iruka-sensei? Can't you see I was trying to think about Hyrule? Geez, cried Naruto with anime bulging white eyes. Hey, that's no way to talk to your teacher like that, Naruto. You know better than that, cried an angry Iruka. Well, what do you want? Asked Naruto as he put his hands on his arms and looked away from Iruka. Well, I know that you're leaving for Hyrule today, but I wanted to ask you if you could just do one herd goat game for me. Please, asked Iruka. Well, alright I guess, said Naruto. Good. Now get on Epona and let's get this herd game over and done with. Cried Iruka. Yeah, let's do this, cried Naruto as he got on Epona and began herding the goats. One goat herd game later. Woo-wee, that was one some herd game you put up there, Naruto. Well, nice work. Well, that for enough for today, I guess. Naruto, I wish you good luck in Hyrule and I hope you have a safe mission. Cried Iruka. Bye, Iruka-sensei. See you later, cried Naruto as he and Epona left the ranch to go to Jiraiya's house to say goodbye to Jiraiya, Sakura, and Tsunade. When Naruto got to the Haruno house, Sakura was the first one to notice him. Mother. Father. Look. It's Naruto. Hi. Naruto. Cried Sakura as she ran up to Naruto and Epona. Jiraiya and Tsunade then went outside to see Naruto with Epona and Sakura coming towards them. So how did you and Epona do, Naruto? She didn't get any scratches on her, did she? Asked Sakura. Sakura. She's fine. I wish you'd stop worrying about Epona. Said Naruto. I know, but I can't help it. Said Sakura. Ah. I see you're done hurting for today, Naruto. Said Jiraiya. Yeah. Good work. Well, today's the day when you finally depart for Hyrule. Oh. And about the royal gift that Kakashi told you about is ready, so get ready for your trip to Hyrule Castle. Maybe if you're lucky, you might even get to meet Princess Xian. Cried Tsunade with a smile as Naruto giggled at her with a grin. It'd be a shame if the representative from Konoha and our protector were late for such a rather important occasion, said Jiraiya. Epona, please take good care of Naruto, for the road is a dangerous one, my sweet horse, said Sakura. Suddenly, she noticed a scratch on Epona's leg. Wait a minute, Naruto, what's this? Asked Sakura as Jiraiya, Naruto, and Tsunade noticed the scratch on Epona's leg. Hey, what's happened to Epona? She's hurt, isn't she? Asked Sakura as she slapped Naruto on the cheek. Ow, Sakura-chan, what did you do that for? Asked Naruto as he rubbed his left cheek that Sakura slapped. You idiot. You told me that Epona was okay, but you lied to me. I'll bet you hurt her leg after jumping over fences again, didn't you? Asked a furious Sakura with anime bulging white eyes. Now Sakura, please stay calm. Don't get so mad at Naruto. It wasn't his fault that Epona got hurt. It was an accident, that's all. Said Tsunade. Mother, how could you say something like that? You're the 5th Hokage for crying out loud. You should start acting like one for Kami's sake. God, cried Sakura as she turned her attention back to Epona. Ah, you poor thing. Don't worry, Epona, I'll take you the Forest of Death Spring. The spirits should heal you up in no time. And don't worry, I'll take better care of you than that jerk Naruto ever had. HMPH, cried Sakura as she and Epona went to the Forest of Death Spring. Hey, wait a minute, Sakura. Come back here, cried Naruto as he was about to run off to follow her and Epona. Naruto, it's alright, let it go, said Tsunade. What are we going to do? Without Epona, the gift won't get delivered in time. Tsunade, what should we do? Asked Jiraiya as he looked at Tsunade. Naruto, I would like you to go to the Forest of Death Spring to try and apologize to Sakura, and then convince her to give you Epona so that you two could go to Hyrule, said Tsunade. You got it, Grandma Tsunade, cried Naruto as he ran off to the Forest of Death. At the entrance to the Forest of Death. As Naruto was about to enter the Forest of Death, he saw Choji, Ino, Sai, and Shikamaru standing by the entrance. Choji, Ino, Shikamaru, Sai, what are you guys doing here? Asked Naruto. Naruto, could I talk to you for a minute alone? Asked Sai. Sure. Said Naruto as Sai walked a few inches from Choji, Ino, and Shikamaru, so they wouldn't see where Naruto was going with Sai. So, what is it, Sai? Is something wrong? Asked Naruto. Well, excluding Ino, Shikamaru and Choji won't let anyone through the Forest of Death. By the way, aren't you going to see Sakura? Asked Sai. Why yes. Yes I am. Said Naruto. Well, do you mind if we can go into the Forest of Death to see Sakura together? Asked Sai. Sure. Said Naruto as he and Sai walked back to Shikamaru and Choji. We've been waiting for you, you know. Cried Choji who was eating some potato chips, as usual. Well, if it isn't Sai, way to spoil our fun by telling your dad. Nice going. Said Sai. Hey, Sai had to tell his dad. What else was he supposed to do? Not have your parents or Choji see you again? Asked Naruto. You know, Naruto, if I had the sword yesterday, then I would have beaten the monsters all by myself. Cried Shikamaru. Yeah, thanks to Sai, we ended up being grounded by our parents last night, said Choji. Good, you deserved it, said Ino. Ino, don't say that, said Sai. Well, it's true, cried Ino. Guys, that's enough. Look, I only came here to see Sakura, not to bicker, said Naruto. So you say you're seeing Sakura, Naruto. Well, if you want to see Sakura, there is one thing you have to do for me, said Shikamaru. Really? And what would that be, Shikamaru? Asked Naruto as he crossed his arms. Well, you'd have to let me use that sword of yours, said Shikamaru. Why should I? Asked Naruto. Because next time those stupid monsters come, I want to kill them with this. So come on, give me your sword. Cried Shikamaru. And what happens if I don't? Asked Naruto. Then I won't let you see Sakura. So what's it gonna be? Are you going to give me the sword or not, Naruto? Asked Shikamaru. Well, said Naruto as he looked at Sai. He then looked back at Shikamaru. Okay, replied Naruto as he gave Shikamaru his wooden sword. Alright, with this wooden sword, I'll show them. Cried Shikamaru as he left to go the training field with Choji while Ino stayed behind with Naruto and Sai. Hey Naruto, asked Naruto as he looked at Sai. Thanks. You know, those guys are always so mean to me. I mean, what's the point of swinging a stupid sword anyway? I don't get why Ino's in love with him, said Sai. Look Sai, Shikamaru may be a bit bratty sometimes, but he's very caring and sweet, too, said Ino. You know what, Naruto? Someday, I want to become just like you. Will you please teach me how to ride Epona when you get back from Hyrule? Please. You have to promise, cried Sai. Well, okay, said Naruto. Thanks, Naruto. Come on, let's go see Sakura, said Sai as he ran off into the forest of Death Spring to see Sakura. Ino, are you coming? Asked Naruto. Sure, why not? Asked Ino with a flirty smile as she followed Naruto into the forest of Death Spring. When Ino and Naruto got into the forest of Death Spring, Sai was explaining to Sakura what happened the day before. Oh, I didn't know. I haven't heard the details about Shikamaru's kidnapping, but Sai, said Sakura walked up to Epona who neighed at Naruto. So, you still prefer Naruto over me, huh, Epona? Asked Sakura. Sakura, I'm really sorry. I was a big jerk, and I wasn't being careful with Epona. Can you ever forgive me? Asked Naruto. Yeah, Sakura. I mean, if Sasuke were here, he wouldn't want to see his two best friends fighting, would he? Asked Ino. Yeah, I guess you're right, Ino. You know what, Naruto? Go ahead. Go on and bring Epona with you to Hyrule. But can you promise me one thing? Asked Sakura. Sure. What is it, Sakura? Asked Naruto. No matter where you are on your mission, just promise me that you won't do anything reckless or stupid, okay? Just be careful and come home safely, said Sakura as she smiled at Naruto and gave him a big hug. Sai and Ino then smiled as they were glad that Naruto and Sakura made up. All of a sudden, they heard rumbling, and King Bulban came with his Bulbans through the trees of the Forest of Death. One Bulban shot an arrow at Sakura's head. One Bulban knocked out Ino by hitting her with a blackjack and knocking her unconscious. One Bulban put a cloth over Sai's mouth as he began choking, and slowly slipped into unconsciousness. Ino, Sai, Sakura, no, cried Naruto as he was knocked out as a Bulban knocked him out with a blackjack as Naruto fell to the ground, unconscious. King Bulban then blew the horn as a portal from the twilight appeared as he and his Bulbans kidnapped Ino, Sakura, and Sai, and headed towards the Leaf Village. When Naruto woke up, he saw his friends gone. Ino, Sakura, Sai, asked Naruto as he got up, and ran after the Bulbans that kidnapped his friends. As Naruto reached the inside of the Forest of Death, he suddenly saw a huge curtain of twilight. Suddenly, an arm pulled him into the curtain of twilight, and Naruto disappeared without a trace. In the twilight, Orden. Konohagakure, the Hidden Leaf Village. Light Spirit Ordona Konoha. Animal for Ordona, Goat. Animal for Konoha Kyubi, Fox. Farron. The Forest of Death. Light Spirit Farron, Fora. Animal for Farron, Monkey. Animal for the Forest of Death. Gamabunta, Toad. Eldon. The Land of Waves, the Hidden Mist Village. Light Spirit Eldon, Kiri, Kurigakure. Animal for Eldon, Owl. Animal for the Land of Waves, Katsuyu, Slug. Lanairu. Sunagakure, the Hidden Sand Village. Light Spirit Lanairu, Katsuyu, Sunagakure. Animal for Lanairu, Snake. Animal for the Hidden Sand Village. Manda, Snake. Note. Also, this chapter contains mostly bold text, except for the flashback, because they're in the twilight. To avoid confusion, here's what Naruto's and Midna's font will look like. Bold equals Midna talking. Bold equals Naruto, in fox form, talking. Note. From this point on, the Sand Ninja will play the Zoras, the Fish People, and the Mist Ninja, excluding Darbus and the Goron Elders, will play the Gorons, Rock People. Without further ado, please enjoy the chapter. At Hyrule Castle, an orange one-tailed fox Naruto was imprisoned in a prison cell in Hyrule Castle. He began to slowly open his eyes, and started blinking. When he woke up, he saw that his hand was no longer a hand, but an fox-like paw. He looked at his other paw, and realized that it was fox-like too. He then turned around, and looked at his back paws, and realized that he no longer had human legs, but fox-like legs. Okay. What the heck happened? Where am I anyway? Asked Naruto to himself. He then looked at the chain on his right paw, and realized he was imprisoned. Just then, he heard laughter. Who's there? Asked Naruto. Out of the shadows, an imp walked towards Naruto. Who are you? Asked Naruto. I'm surprised to see a talking fox here, said the imp. Just tell me who you are. Where am I anyway? Asked Naruto. Well, I'll get you out of here. But first, you'd have to find a way to get out of this cell, said the imp. How can I get out of here if I'm all chained up? Asked an angry Naruto. The imp then sighed, then used some kind of ball and magically broke the chain off of Naruto's leg. The imp then went through the bars, and appeared at the front of Naruto's prison cell. Listen, Foxy boy, if you can get out of that prison cell, I'll tell you where you are, alright? Asked the imp as she yawned. Naruto then found a box and broke it by bonking his head in there, and crawled through the broken hole which led out of the prison cell that he was trapped in. Hey, that was easier than I thought. Now where's that imp? Asked Naruto to himself. I'm right here, said the imp as she surprisingly read Naruto's mind, and landed on his back. Hey, get off of me, you demon! Cried Naruto. Hey, be nice to your master. Look, I'm not working for those Twilight messengers that imprisoned you in this cell. I only want to help you because I like you and I think I can get you out of here, said the imp. Okay then what's your name? Asked Naruto. You'll find that out later. But however, said the imp as she pulled Naruto's left ear and said. In exchange for my help, you'd have to do exactly as I say. Remember, Naruto, if you need anything from me, let me know, okay? So, are we all clear? Good. Then let's get going. Wait, how do you know my name? Asked Naruto. None of your beeswax. Now come on. Let's go, Foxy boy, cried the imp as she kicked his back. Stop calling me that, cried an angry Naruto who was annoyed of the imp calling him Foxy boy, as the duo headed off to meet someone important. When Naruto and the imp reached a gate, the imp went through another gate inside of the prison room. She said. Hey, Naruto. Over here. Huh, hey, what about me? Am I not that important to you? Asked Naruto. Whatever. Anyway, I'll be right behind this gate waiting for you. But in the meantime, why don't you help yourself out for a change? Asked the imp with a giggle. You've got to be kidding me. This imp expects me to help myself out. Well, I guess I have to do whatever she says. Hey, maybe my friends could be in here, thought Naruto. After he was able to turn off the water by pulling down a chain, Naruto destroyed the box which made a shortcut that led to the gate that the imp was behind in. After meeting up with her, she landed on Naruto's back, and said. There. Now was that so hard? Naruto then began panting like a dog. Ah, has the detour tired out my little fox? Asked the imp as she got closer to his face, and patted Naruto's left cheek. Stop that. You still have to tell me where we are, cried an irritated Naruto who was getting really annoyed, and was still clueless on where he was. Look, there's someone I want you to meet. But once we meet her, then you'll find out where you are. Now come on, let's go, cried the imp as she kicked Naruto's leg as they were on the way and inside the prison room of another prisoner. When the duo got inside the prisoner's room, Naruto then growled at the person when he and the imp got to their room where they were supposed to meet them. The imp then chuckled as Naruto continued growling at the person. The person then looked at the imp and Naruto as it turned out, it was a girl, just as the imp had said. She had light blonde hair, pale lavender eyes almost like Hinata's, and a black robe in mourning. The imp then swooned sarcastically as she and Naruto walked over to the girl. Here we go, said the imp to herself. Midna, asked the girl. So, you finally remembered my name. I'm so happy, said the imp was now called Midna as Naruto looked at her. So, is this the one you were looking for? Asked the girl. Well, he's not quite exactly what I had in mind, but I guess he'll do, said Midna as she nodded her head. Let me have a look at him, said the girl as she looked at Naruto. You were imprisoned? Asked the girl. Yes I was, said Naruto. I'm so sorry, you poor innocent creature, said the girl. Oh, poor thing, he has no idea where he is or what's happened. So, don't you think you should tell him of what you're going to do? I mean, you owe him that much, you know. Twilight princess, chuckled Midna. Midna, Naruto, please, hear what I have to say, said the girl. Midna, how does she know my name? Asked Naruto in a whisper. I'll tell you later, now shut up, said Midna in a harsh whisper. Okay, said Naruto who whispered back at her. Long ago, This once peaceful land was once the land where the power of the gods was said to slumber. This was once the legendary Hyrule. But that blessed kingdom had been turned into a world of shadows, and was ruled by creatures who reject the light, said the girl as she told Midna and Naruto the story of how she was imprisoned. Flashback. 2 days ago, in the Hyrule Castle throne room. As Princess Xian was about to become the Queen of Hyrule, she and her guards were attacked by creatures from the Twilight, or at least, that's what they thought they were. Then, as Xian was watching her guards being killed by the Twilight messengers, a boy about 17 with raven hair and an Anbu mask and clothes walked forward to Xian. Sasuke Uchiha, said Xian as she glared at him as the boy who was now called Sasuke, Naruto's rival and best friend asked. It's time for you to choose. Surrender, or die. Oh, and I can't forget about the people of Hyrule, the question is. Life, or death, as he smirked evilly at Xian. Well, princess, asked one of the guards. I have no choice, said Xian. Huh, asked one of the guards. Everyone, I'm sorry, forgive me, said Xian as she threw her sword on the ground and ended up surrendering to Sasuke Uchiha, the King of Shadows. Then, the Twilight King imprisoned Xian and covered the land of Hyrule in twilight, as the people became as spirits. Twilight covered Hyrule like a shroud, and with it, the people became known as spirits. But within the twilight, these people live on, as they're unaware that they have taken the form of spirits. All they know now is fear of a nameless evil, said the girl as she was finished telling her story. End of flashback. After the girl was done telling her story to Midna and Naruto, she said. Although the kingdom had succumbed to Twilight, I still remain as its princess. Finally, she took off her hood as she revealed herself, as Princess Xian. I am Princess Xian, said Xian. Oh, you don't have to look so sad. We Twilight creatures actually find it to be a quite livable world. I mean, come on. Is perpetual Twilight really all that bad, Princess Xian? Asked Midna with a snicker. Midna, this is no time for playing games. The Twilight beasts have been looking all over for you. Tell me, Midna, why is that? Asked Xian as Midna got off of Naruto's back and was floating. Why indeed, Xian? I don't know. You tell me, said Midna with a chuckle. Time is running out. The guard will be here any minute. Midna, Naruto, you must leave, now, said Xian as Naruto and Midna left her room. As Naruto was about to head towards the door where he and Midna came from, she pulled her ear. Ow, cried Naruto. Shish, will you be quiet? Do you want us to get ourselves killed? Huh, do ya? Asked Midna in an angry whisper. Well, excuse me, Midna, if that's what your name is. Naruto whispered back. Said Midna as she found a window that she and Naruto could use to escape the castle. As Midna floated to the top of the roof and was a few inches away from Naruto, he then realized that he was in Hyrule Castle, which was the place that Kakashi told him about. So this is the place that Kakashi-sensei was talking about, huh? Thought Naruto to himself as he walked closer to where Midna was. Well, do you now understand where we are, Naruto? Asked Midna with a giggle. Yeah, Hyrule Castle. Kakashi-sensei told me about it, said Naruto. Well, whatever. I guess a promise is a promise, then. So, I guess I'll take you back to wherever you found the curtain of Twilight. But are you sure you should be going back? You're not forgetting anything important, are you? Asked Midna as she turned into Sakura, Sai, and Ino. After all, you haven't forgotten, said Midna as she turned into Sasuke. This Sasuke guy, right? Oh, Naruto. Please. Save me from Orochimaru. Oh, where are you, Naruto? Oh, said Midna as she began to imitate Sasuke's voice, but by making it sound like him literally. Hey, don't make fun of Sasuke like that, growled Naruto. Well, whatever. He's just a stupid boy, said Midna, who was still disguised as Sasuke. Stupid boy? Asked and insulted Naruto to himself as he finally replied. He's not stupid, Midna. He's the last survivor of the Uchiha clan, and wants to kill his brother, Itachi, for murdering them. Sasuke's also my best friend. How do you even know about Orochimaru anyway? There's a lot that you don't know about me, kid, and I don't plan on telling you of what I really am, said Midna. Look, I don't know who you think you are, but I'm gonna be Hokage someday. So as the future Hokage, I want to save Sasuke from Orochimaru's clutches, and my friends, too. So if you ever make fun of Sasuke again, Midna, then I will have no choice but to bite you, said Naruto. I'm not scared of you. Well, anyways, if you want my help, then as my servant, you still have to do exactly as I say, said Midna as she turned back into herself. So how about I send you home, and you think about what I said, okay? she said with a smirk as she disappeared along with Naruto and went back to the Hidden Leaf village. Later that night, after Naruto and Midna warped back to Konoha, and was in the grass near the Konoha spring, Naruto realized that Midna was not on his back. Huh, where'd you go, Midna? Asked Naruto. Oops, it seems I forgot to mention one more thing. Although you may have left the Twilight Realm, you won't be turning into a human. Sadly, my friend, you won't be turning back into a human anytime soon. Now why in the world could that be? Well, see you later, Naruto. Bye, cried Midna. Hey, wait, Midna, you still have to help me find my friends, cried Naruto as he ran to where she was going, until Midna asked. So anyway, what to do? What to do? Midna then reappeared in shadow while floating in front of Naruto. Surprise, cried Midna as Naruto was surprised that Midna hadn't left his side. Midna, what are you doing here? I thought you were going to leave me for good and not help me find my friends. Asked a shocked Naruto. Midna then chuckled, and said, you thought I was actually going to run off and not help you. Look, you want to find your friends, right? Yes. Replied Naruto. Well, look, Naruto. Don't think for a second that you can just leave your home just to go and look for your friends. Because guess what? You can't. Said Midna. Yeah, but, said Naruto as he thought of Sai, Ino, and Sakura. But what? Asked Midna. Oh, it's nothing, Midna. Said Naruto. You're thinking about that pink-haired girl that you want to save, right? Asked Midna referring to Sakura. You mean Sakura? Asked Naruto. Yeah, her. Said Midna. Wait, how did you know I was thinking about Sakura? Asked Naruto, who couldn't believe what he just heard from Midna's lips. I can read people's minds. Said Midna. Oh really? Then what I am thinking about now? Asked Naruto. You're thinking about reuniting with your friends after you rescue them. But as I said before, you can't, because somewhere in this village, the Forest of Death is covered in twilight. But, if you want to try and enter the Forest of Death, then you'll need someone from the Twilight. For example, you'll need me. Cried Midna with a giggle. And why would I need you? I don't even trust you because of the way you made fun of Sasuke. Said Naruto. Look, I'm sorry that I made fun of Sasuke. I'll try not to make fun of him, alright? Well, anyway, right now there's some things that you, Naruto Uzumaki, have to give me. Said Midna. Really? And what are these things that I have to bring you, Midna? Asked Naruto. Well, right now, I want a sword and shield that will suit me. After all, you do understand what I'm saying, right, Naruto? Asked Midna. Yeah, I guess. Said Naruto. Well, come on, Naruto. Let's go. While you're in La La Land, the twilight continues to grow as we speak. So come on. Let's get going. Cried Midna as she and Naruto went back to the village. At the village, when Naruto and Midna got back to the village, it seemed like the parents of Shikamaru and Choji, the parents of Sai, and the parents of Ino were upset about their children being kidnapped. But since Kakashi was injured while fighting off the monsters, Tsunade had sent Yugao, and a group of Anbu Black Ops to look for Naruto's friends. As they reached Naruto's house, there were some Bulbans right outside his front door. Huh, what are those Bulbans doing outside of my house, Midna? Wait, Sasuke didn't get involved with kidnapping my friends, did he? Asked Naruto. No, why would he? You haven't seen him since the last time you went to Orochimaru's lair last year, said Midna. Hey, how do you know about my reunion with Sasuke? Asked a shocked Naruto. Let's just say that I met him once in person and he told me a lot about you, kid, said Midna. What's this all of a sudden? You call me kid, and you don't call me by my real name. Seriously, Midna, what's up with that? Asked a baffled Naruto. Oh, never mind that, Naruto. Right now we have to fight off these monsters first. Cried Midna. We? What do you mean, we? You're the one that's in shadow form and not on my back. Cried Naruto. Let's just say that although I don't appear in the light world, my shadow is still on your back, said Midna. Okay, said Naruto as he killed the Bulbans. Thank you for destroying those monsters, said a voice. Midna, did you say something? Asked Naruto as he thought he heard Midna say something. No, I think that squirrel is trying to say something to you, Naruto, said Midna as Naruto turned around to see a squirrel outside his front door. Look, I'm not sure what you're trying to do here, but please be careful. The monsters kidnapped 5 of your friends and made the village a mess. Now the parents of your friends are mourning the loss of them, thinking them to be dead after they were kidnapped by those brutal monsters. But you're unlike those monsters that kidnapped your friends, right? I can tell because of your scent of the trees here in Konoha. Listen, if ever you need help, try talking to the animals around the village. Since we animals understand each other, I'm sure you'll be fine. Well, goodbye, said the squirrel as he left Naruto's house and went back to the forest. What was that all about? Asked Naruto. I don't know. Well, you heard the squirrel. Come on, let's go find that sword and shield to see what we can do about the kidnapping of your friends, said Midna as she and Naruto continued their search for the sword and shield and Naruto's friends that were inside the Hidden Leaf village. Suddenly, they saw Inoichi, Ino's father, standing outside on the patio of the Yamanaka house. Oh, the children, I hope they're all right. Face it, Inoichi. Ino and the children are dead. What does it matter? No, I can't give up hope. The children are alive somehow, I know it. Oh, Ino, please forgive your good-for-nothing father, thought Inoichi as a tear fell out of his eye and landed on the ground. Suddenly, Naruto noticed Asuma standing with Jiraiya behind a building. Hey, Asuma-sensei. Pervy sage, cried Naruto as Midna punched him. You idiot. We don't want them knowing that we're after the sword and shield. Do you want us to get ourselves caught? Cried Midna. Naruto sighed, and said, all right, Midna, fine. But can we at least find out what they're talking about? You know, as a clue to where the sword and shield might be. Asked Naruto. Yes, maybe that clue could tell us where the sword and shield is, said Midna. Then come on. Let's go, whispered Naruto as he found a trash can and stood right behind it while trying to avoid being caught by Asuma and Jiraiya. All right, Asuma, I want you to bring me that shield that's in your house, and the sword that's in Kakashi's house so we can defeat those monsters that kidnapped the children. I'm going off to find them myself in Kakashi's place while he's injured, said Jiraiya. You got it, Master Jiraiya, cried Asuma as he did the, yes sir, signal. Then, Naruto came out of his hiding spot and growled at them. It's no use. Run, cried Jiraiya as he and Asuma ran off and went back to their houses. Midna, in shadow form, came out of Naruto's shadow, and said. Well, that wasn't a bad bit of information heard, huh? Hey, Naruto. Take a look at that patio door that's opened. Look at them, Naruto. I hate to say this, but your village is full of idiots. Hey, the ninja here in this village are not idiots. They're my friends. And they're smart, too. Cried Naruto. Yeah, but Ino, Shikamaru, Choji, Sakura, and Sai are gone. Now I wonder who kidnapped them. Maybe Sasuke kidnapped them. Cried Midna with a giggle. Midna, what makes you think that Sasuke was involved with the kidnapping of my friends, huh? Asked Naruto. Well, let's just say that Sasuke's getting revenge at you for trying to convince him to come back to Konoha. That way, Sasuke wouldn't be able to go to Orochimaru if he hadn't become a bad guy and instead helping you on your quest now, would he? Asked Midna. Midna, let's get off the subject and find the shield that's in Asuma-sensei's house, said Naruto as he and Midna went to Asuma's house. Luckily, Naruto found a hole that led to the inside of the house, and eventually got inside. However, Kurenai was sleeping on her bed that she shared with Asuma. Darn. How am I going to get the shield without waking up Kurenai-sensei? Whispered Naruto. Well, it is right in front of the bed, right? So, just try to sneak past Kurenai, and get the shield without waking her up, whispered Midna back. Okay. Good idea, Midna, said Naruto as he slowly began to crawl without waking up Kurenai and successfully got the shield that was in front of her bed, put it on his back, found the window by Kurenai's and Asuma's bed, and jumped out of the window as glass broke while he jumped out of the window. Kurenai then awoke with a start without seeing Naruto, who was standing outside the Nara house, hiding behind the building of their house. What was that? Thought Kurenai as she looked outside, and saw no one there. Huh, I must have been dreaming. Oh well, better go back to sleep, said Kurenai to herself as she went back to bed, and eventually fell right back asleep. Meanwhile, Midna and Naruto got out of the building, and looked at Asuma and Kurenai's bedroom window that they just jumped out of. Midna, why do you have to make me jump out of the window, huh? Asked Naruto. Hey, it was either we exit through the door and get caught by Asuma, or escape through their bedroom window without getting ourselves caught. Well, anyway, now that we have a shield, our second and final weapon on our list is a sword. So come on. Let's get moving, cried Midna. Right, cried Naruto as he and Midna left Asuma's house and headed towards the Hitaki house. Just then, Inoichi cried out. You monster. Naruto then looked up to see Inoichi standing on top of the roof of the Yamanaka house. So, you've come back for more. My daughter Ino, where is she? Take this, beast, cried Inoichi as he blew the hawk grass, to which a hawk came to him. What do I do, Midna? What do I do? Asked a panicked Naruto. Get on that trash bin, jump on the roof, and scare the guy off. Cried Midna as Naruto nodded his head, got on the trash bin, and jumped on the roof, and began to bark at a frightened Inoichi who jumped off of his roof, and went back inside the house. Just then, the same hawk from before flew to Naruto. Sorry about that. I have no choice but to obey the ones who call me with the hawk grass. Hey, you're Naruto Uzumaki, correct? Asked the hawk. Yes. Replied Naruto. Hey, listen. If ever you need anything from me, just howl the hawk grass, and I'll be there to get the item for you. Well, gotta go. Bye Naruto. Cried the hawk as he flew out of Naruto's sight. Anyways, let's find that sword before we get caught again. Cried Midna as she and Naruto went to Kakashi's house to retrieve the sword from him. Evidently, they saw Kakashi standing right outside his house with a worried Hinari standing in front of the door. Hinari, you stay here. I'll go look for the children, said Kakashi. But Kakashi, you'll be killed. You still haven't recovered yet, dear. Cried a worried Hinari. I'll be fine, alright. Look, I'm just going off to find the children, and once I do bring them back home, then everything will be back to normal, said Kakashi. Yeah but, said Hinari. But what? What is it Hinari? Asked Kakashi. What about Naruto and Sakura? Asked Hinari. Hey, I'll find the children and Naruto and Sakura and will eventually bring them back home where they belong, said Kakashi. Kakashi be careful, my love, said Hinari. I will, said Kakashi as he and Hinari began to kiss. Yuck. What are they, boyfriend and girlfriend? Asked Midna who was disgusted by Kakashi and Hinari's kissing. Actually, Hinari and Kakashi-sensei are married, and they have a son named Sai. Obviously, Sai was kidnapped along with my other friends. Plus Hinari is pregnant with Kakashi's child, explained Naruto. Well, whatever. Let's go get the sword before he finds us. Cried Midna. Okay. Whispered Naruto as he found another hole to dig in, and went inside the Hitaki house while Kakashi began to look for the Ino Shika Cho trio, Sai, and Sakura. When they got inside, Midna and Naruto saw the sword standing right outside the front door. Well, what do you know? The sword is here. Well, don't just stand there, you idiot. Get the sword before we get caught. Cried Midna as Naruto picked up the sword and put it on his back, and got out of the house by digging without getting caught. Naruto then left the village of Konoha, and was on his way into the forest of death which was now covered in twilight. Then, he heard a voice. Wait come to my spring. You the one who has been transformed into a creature of the shadows come to me beware a shadow being it emerges, said a light spirit as Naruto went into the Konoha spring. Suddenly, a Twilight messenger appeared from a portal. After Naruto killed the Twilight messenger, a giant version of the nine-tailed fox appeared. Wait you're the nine-tailed fox. Hey, what are you doing here? Shouldn't you be inside my body? Asked a confused Naruto. Well, I'm not the same nine-tailed fox that's inside of you, Naruto. I am a light spirit version of the nine-tailed fox, the Kyuubi. My name is Konoha and I am one of the 4 light spirits of Hyrule and of the ninja world. Thank you for defeating that monster. The black monster that you just killed was a Twilight messenger, a creature from the so-called Twilight. You see that creature had stolen my light until you destroyed it. But I am not the only one who had their light stolen. The other light spirits of Hyrule and the ninja world already had their light stolen by these terrible creatures. However, both the ninja world and the land of Hyrule has been turned into a world of shadows, ruled by the creatures who shun the light, said Konoha. Funny Princess Xian of Hyrule Castle once told me that the land of Hyrule and the ninja world being turned into a world of shadows ruled by creatures that shun the light, thought Naruto. However, the curse of the Twilight will not stop with the ninja world and Hyrule. Before long, the world will be covered in darkness and will fall, while at the same time, it will be ruled by the king who rules the Twilight, said Konoha. But wait, who is the king of the Twilight? Asked Naruto. You'll find out from Midna later on. For now, you must save the lands of both the 4 lands of the ninja world, and Hyrule from the curtain of Twilight, and you must murder the king of the Twilight and stop him from covering all of the lands of the ninja world and Hyrule. You must revive the 3 light spirits by restoring the light that they've lost. You Naruto Uzumaki have not regained your real form just yet. But just like you, those people that have been transformed by Twilight creatures cannot recover their true forms well unless you were to go back to the forest of death where you first transformed into a fox. If you were able to revive the light spirit then, with the light spirit's power you would be able to regain your human form. Well good luck, Naruto, said Konoha. Wait how do you know my name? Asked Naruto. You're the son of Minato Yondaime Namikaze Uzumaki, are you not? Asked Konoha as it disappeared in a flash of light. Afterward, Naruto was about to head to the Forest of Death until Midna stopped him, and said, Naruto, wait, look, since you know the Forest of Death so well, I hate to say this, but it's covered in twilight. You might not be able to come back home for a while, but how about it? Do you still want to go? Naruto then nodded his head. If it means saving the world, I'll do it, said Naruto. Great. I knew you would say that, cried Midna as she pulled Naruto into the twilight. When Naruto came to, he realized that he was at the entrance to the Forest of Death, which was now covered in twilight just like it was when he first transformed into a fox. Midna then landed on Naruto's back, and said, Hooray! I can sit on your back again. What? You sat on my back when we were in the light realm, Midna. Geez, you make it sound like this is your first time actually sitting on my back when it really isn't your first time sitting on my back. But still, I want to know why I can only see you in the twilight realm and only your shadow in the light world. Cried Naruto, who was demanding an explanation from the bossy Midna. Well, FYI, I hate being in the light world. I like it better here in the twilight. Oh, and look at the sky. Aren't the black clouds of twilight looking beautiful today? Asked Midna with a giggle. So I take it that's why you're only in shadow in the light world? Asked Naruto. Yes. But can you explain to me of why I have this shield on my face, and why I'm holding the Konoha sword? Asked Midna, who had the Konoha shield on her face, and held the Konoha sword in her right hand. The Konoha shield was black, made of steel, and had the Land of Fire symbol on it. I don't know. Maybe you want to become a member of the Anbu Black Ops? Asked Naruto. I'm an imp, you idiot. Not a ninja. Maybe I might want to test it out a little, said Midna as she began swinging the Konoha sword over Naruto's head. Hey, be careful where you swing that sword, Midna. You could have accidentally chopped my head off with that thing. It's a good thing I'm not dead, said a relieved Naruto. Oh, whatever. Well, I'm not going to be using these, but I guess I could hold on to them for you. Well, I guess a promise is a promise. I now trust you enough to help me. But, however, there is a catch, said Midna. And what kind of catch would that be, Midna? Asked Naruto as Midna came up closer to his ear, and said. In exchange for my help, though, there's a few things I want you to get for me. So, what kind of things do I have to get for you, Midna? Asked Naruto as Midna, who was getting annoyed with Naruto's stupidity, slapped her hand on her forehead, and replied. Look, I can't tell you all the details yet. But trust me, kid, it will a piece of cake before you know it. Midna then sat up. Anyways, enough about that. Do you hear that sound? That must be the sound of the light spirit, for a mourning the loss of its light stolen by those stupid twilight messengers. Now where in the name of Konoha could it be? I think we should get going, don't you think? But remember, Naruto, don't come crying to me by telling me that your world is more important than mine, so you better get going if you want to save it. Cried Midna as she laid on Naruto's back, and began to hum her theme while looking at her hand. Note. That was actually kind of funny when she hummed her own theme in the game. Lol. Well, come on. What are you waiting for, foxy boy? Let's go, cried Midna. Naruto then cleared his throat, due to him getting annoyed at the fact that Midna was calling him foxy boy. So, Naruto decided that if ever Midna would call him foxy boy again, then he would make her apologize to him. But if she wouldn't apologize to Naruto, then he'd have no choice but to bite her. Yeah, pretty threatening, don't you think? Fine, I'm sorry for calling you foxy boy, muttered Midna. That's better. Thank you, said Naruto as he and Midna continued their way to the Forest of Death Spring. As Naruto and Midna were about to head to the Forest of Death Spring, 3 Twilight messengers appeared out of a portal as some kind of barrier appeared, blocking the fox and imp's way to the Forest of Death Spring. Shoot, we're trapped again. Look at them. Who do they think they are, trying to trap us here as if we were in a prison cell like prisoners? Naruto, you don't have a problem killing them all one by one, do you? Well, in that case, try taking them down all at once without my help. See you later, cried Midna as she floated a few inches away to watch Naruto fight the Twilight messengers. Oh come on, cried Naruto as he began muttering about Midna ditching him. He then killed 2 Twilight messengers, and was about to kill the other. Suddenly, one of the Twilight messengers did a loud and piercing screech which made Naruto's ears go deaf. Midna then landed on Naruto's back, and said, What are you doing, you moron? If you leave the last one alive, then it'll cry out in order to revive its partners. Alright, let me help you out, kid. Follow my lead. I'll create an energy field. Meanwhile, you try to trap them all in the energy field, and destroy them. Ready, go. She and Naruto killed all 3 of the Twilight messengers. Well now, That wasn't too shabby now, was it, Midna? Asked Naruto. I must say, you fight pretty good for a fox, that is. Anyway, enough about that. Let's go find Fora, the light spirit, said Midna as she and Naruto finally reached Fora, the light spirit of the Forest of Death. However, something terrible happened to Fora. Like Konoha, the light spirit of Konoha said, Fora had its light stolen by those terrible Twilight messengers. So you must be Fora, the spirit that its light stolen, said Midna. Yes, I am a spirit of light that resides here in the Forest of Death. However, I had my light stolen by these foul Twilight messengers. Naruto Uzumaki, please be careful. The Forest of Death that you once knew has changed. The clouds of Twilight cover not only Hyrule, but of the ninja world as well. In the Twilight, the people who once lived in the light world have turned into spirits. Yes, the Twilight is a place where dark and evil creatures live. Oh, blue-eyed beast. Please restore my light, the light that had been stolen by those dark creatures of the Twilight. Here, take this vessel of light, said Fora as it gave Naruto the vessel of light. In the Twilight realm, there are insects that roam around here, however they are invisible just as the people living in the light world are. Now I shall use the last of my power to show you where these cursed insects are located. Please find and destroy those dark insects. They are evil. It has already held onto our scattered light, my dear boy. Remember this. Please destroy the insects and return my light to me. Then, I will truly tell you of your destiny to save the world. Good luck, Naruto Uzumaki, said Fora. Well, what are you waiting for, Naruto? Let's go kill those stupid insects and save Fora, cried Midna as she and Naruto went out to retrieve the Tears of Light by killing the insects that had stolen Fora's light. 16 Tears of Light retrieved later. Ah, I was starting to enjoy your world being all covered in twilight. Well, see you later, Naruto. Bye, cried Midna as she went inside of Naruto's shadow. Fora then appeared. It then had the form of a toad, and looked exactly like Gamabunta, but much brighter since Konoha and Fora were light spirits. My name is Fora. I am one of the light spirits that live not only in Hyrule, but also in the world of ninja. I use all my power and might to try and protect this forest from evil monsters. O brave young Naruto, in the land of Twilight not only are people known as spirits, but you are also known as a one-tailed fox, another version of the nine-tailed fox trapped inside of you. Since you transformed into a one-tailed fox, it was a sign that the powers that were kept inside of you have awakened. Naruto, don't be frightened, dear boy. Look at yourself. Naruto then realized that he was once again wearing his orange and black jumpsuit along with his orange pants, and black Konoha headband that he wore on his forehead, obviously. He also had the Konoha sword and shield that he got from the Hidden Leaf village. Huh, well, what do you know? I'm wearing these clothes that I wore when I reunited with Sasuke. But I'm glad to be a human again, thought an overjoyed Naruto who was glad to be back to his sweet old self again. The orange and black clothes that you now wear used to belong to your ancestor, the hero chosen by the gods. He was the hero of time. His power now rests within you. You are Naruto Uzumaki, hero chosen by the gods, said Fora, leaving a shocked Naruto speechless. I'm the hero of time's ancestor, asked Naruto. Correct. A dark power rests within the forest temple of the Forest of Death. It is a forbidden power. Long ago, my brethren and I kept it sealed away. However, due to its dark and powerful nature, it's a power that should never be touched by any person who lives in the light world, including you, Naruto Uzumaki. But since the world is in grave danger, you must test your power as you go up against the King of Shadows. If you were to seek out this forbidden power, then move forward to the Forest Temple. Good luck, Naruto, said Fora as it disappeared in a flash of light. Midna then came out of Naruto's shadow, and said, so this is your real form, huh? I liked you better as a fox though. Yeah, well, I like being a human. But other than that, it's great to be back as a human once again, cried an overjoyed Naruto. Whatever. Anyways, now that you're the so-called chosen hero and the ancestor of the hero of time, then that must explain why you turned into a one-tailed fox. So, you have the nine-tailed fox inside of you, said Midna. How did you know that, Midna? Who told you? Asked Naruto. Sasuke. He told me all about you, kid. He told me all about your little, fateful, reunion with him in Orochimaru's lair, said Midna. Hey, I had a feeling that he told you who I was. So that's how you knew my name, huh? Asked Naruto. Yes, whatever. I don't care if you want to go save him or not. Tell you what. If you can go inside of the Forest Temple and defeat the boss, then I'll tell you an interesting story about my relationship with Sasuke, said Midna. So wait, you're his girlfriend? Asked Naruto. No, but he does have a crush on me, but sadly I don't have any feelings for him whatsoever, said Midna. Why? Asked Naruto. He's a pervert, replied Midna. Hey, He's not that perverted. Usually, all the Sasuke fangirls swoon over him just because of his intelligence and attitude. What did he ever do to you, Midna, huh? Asked Naruto. I'd rather not talk about it. Hey, maybe if you're lucky, we might find him along with your friends trapped inside the forest temple. Maybe he had to do with the kidnapping of your friends. Well, let's go to the forest temple and save your friends. Well, see you later, Naruto. Cried Midna as she went inside of Naruto's shadow. Alright, it's time to go to the forest temple. Sasuke, you will pay for kidnapping Ino Sai, Sakura, Shikamaru, and Choji. Sasuke, I will stop you. No matter what. Believe it. Cried a determined Naruto to himself as he continued his way to the forest temple. When he was about to enter the forest temple, he saw Deidara with a campfire and a lantern. Deidara, what are you doing here? I thought you were dead. Cried Naruto. That's what you thought. But Kabuto revived me and brought me back to life. So I became nice again. Hey, I have some lantern oil. It's dangerous to go inside the forest of death in the dark, said Deidara. Yeah, but I'm heading to the forest temple, said Naruto. The forest temple, Well then, here's some lantern oil. I also have a lantern for you. Well, here you go. Cried Deidara as he gave Naruto the lantern oil. Wow, thanks. Well, I'll be on my way to the forest temple now. Wish me luck, cried Naruto as he ran off to the forest temple. As Naruto was about to reach the forest temple, which was only a mile away, the same girl monkey that Shikamaru encountered 2 days ago took Naruto's lantern. Hey, give that back, cried Naruto. Midna then came out of Naruto's shadow and punched him. Ow, Midna, what did you do that for? Huh? Asked Naruto. You idiot. Do you not realize what just happened? Asked an angry Midna. Yeah, my lantern got stolen by a girl monkey. You hear me? A girl, cried Naruto. I'm a girl, too, you know, said Midna. Yeah, I think I knew that, Midna, said Naruto. Well, don't just stand there, you idiot. Follow that monkey and retrieve the lantern that she stole from you. Cried Midna as she and Naruto followed the girl monkey that stole Naruto's lantern. When the girl monkey stopped at the entrance to the forest temple, she dropped Naruto's lantern, which was now out of lantern oil, and went inside the forest temple. Sweet. I got my lantern back. Woohoo, cried Naruto. Yeah, but it's out of lantern oil, said Midna. No need to worry. I have some with me in a bottle, cried Naruto as he poured some lantern oil into his lantern. Well, now that that's taken care of, let's go inside the forest temple. Cried Naruto. I don't know why, but I'm getting a bad feeling about this, thought Midna as she and Naruto were about to go inside the forest temple. Suddenly, a golden fox appeared and began to attack Naruto, knocking him unconscious. Naruto, cried Midna as she floated over Naruto's unconscious body, floating over his body while shaking him to wake up. In Naruto's dream, when Naruto woke up, he saw the golden wolf as it transformed into the ghost of his father. Dad? Asked Naruto. Minato then began to attack Naruto. Naruto then had no choice but to attack his own father. Minato then knocked him unconscious as Naruto stood up. Son, a sword wields no strength unless the hand that holds it has courage. You may be destined to be the hero of time's ancestor, but your power would shame the hero of time's clothes that you now wear. You must test out your power against the King of Shadows. However, in order to gain that power, I will give you these sword fighting secrets that I hold. Alright, the first sword fighting secret is the ending blow. After an enemy gets hit, it will recover and get up off the ground and will attack again, even when it comes to a powerful attack. The ending blow is a secret technique you can use on stunned enemies while they're distracted as they focus on their health. Then, when your enemies lie on the ground, clinging to life, leap high into the air and deliver the final blow. Now, come at me, Naruto, cried Minato as Naruto performed the ending blow. Impressive. But still, you must never overlook your opportunity to attack your enemy. My first hidden skill, the ending blow, has been passed on, cried Minato as Naruto swung his sword and put it back in his sheath. Alright, I mastered the ending blow. Believe it, cried Naruto. Hold on there, Naruto. Don't think that this is the only hidden skill that I have yet to teach you. There are still 6 hidden skills that you must accomplish. But you're only at the beginning of your hidden sword fighting skills. Naruto, I will see you again. Farewell, my son, said Minato as he disappeared in a flash of light. Out of Naruto's dream. When Naruto woke up, a concerned Midna was hovering over him. Naruto, are you alright? She asked as Naruto sat up and got off of the ground and stood up. He then looked at his surroundings and realized that Minato was gone. Naruto, is something wrong? Asked Midna. I could have sworn I saw my father in a dream. He taught me a hidden skill, the ending blow. Said Naruto. Wait, your father? What's so great about him? I mean, I understand that he sealed the nine-tailed fox inside of you when you were a baby, but is he alive? Asked Midna. No, he died 17 years ago on the day I was born. That's when he sealed the nine-tailed fox inside of me when I was only a baby. Said Naruto. What was his name? Asked Midna. Minato. Minato Namikaze. Said Naruto. Wait. Hold on a second, Naruto. If you're the son of Minato Namikaze, the fourth Hokage of Konoha, then why don't you have the same last name as him? Asked Midna. Well, the third Hokage didn't want anyone knowing that I was the son of Minato. So, I ended up having my mother, Kushina's last name. But she died too about 17 years ago. Said Naruto. Midna then turned away from Naruto, and said, I'm sorry. Anyways, let's go inside the forest temple. Said Naruto. Okay. Said Midna as she and Naruto went inside the forest temple. A few minutes into the dungeon. As Naruto and Midna were exploring the dungeon, they noticed that something was starting to come out of the water. Naruto was about to take out his sword until Gamakichi, an orange frog, and Gamatatsu, his brother who was a yellow frog, jumped out of the water and landed on the ground where Naruto was standing. Hi everybody. Did we miss anything? Asked Gamatatsu. Gamatatsu. Gamakichi. What are you guys doing here? Asked a shocked Naruto who pointed a finger at them with anime bulging white eyes. Whoa, wait. These guys are frogs. Asked Midna who began laughing. It's not that funny, Midna. Said Naruto who had a disappointed look on his face. Well, you see, Naruto, we've been looking for something here. Would you mind helping us out? Asked Gamakichi. I guess Midna, what do you think? Asked Naruto. Fine. Said a jealous Midna who turned away from Naruto while crossing her arms. Great. Then we're on our way. Cried Gamatatsu as he and Gamakichi jumped inside of Naruto's jacket. A few minutes later inside the dungeon. When Naruto got inside the mini-boss room, he saw a monkey king named Ook who was smacking his butt as if he was mocking Naruto. Ook then began throwing the Gale Boomerang which made the Baba serpents come down to attack Naruto. Man, what's this guy's problem? Hey, maybe if you bump into whichever totem he lands on, that'll probably do something to him. Go on, Naruto. Try it out. Cried Midna as she went back inside of Naruto's shadow. After Naruto bumped into the totem, Ook landed on his head with his legs in the air and butt sticking out. Naruto slashed Ook's butt, and it turned out a parasitic bug was inside of him. Ook then came to, and saw Naruto, and realized what he had done. He then became embarrassed that while he was possessed by the parasitic bug, he was attacking Naruto. Ook then hopped from one totem to the next, and left Naruto alone in the mini-boss room. What was that all about? Asked Naruto. I don't know. Anyway, let's go free the other monkeys and find the boss. Said Midna. Right. Cried Naruto as he retrieved the Gale Boomerang. After that, Naruto and Midna continued their way to the forest temple. 8 rescued monkeys later. Note. Sorry, I can't remember how many monkeys, excluding the Baboon King, Ook, there were in the forest temple. Please bear with me. Smiley face. After Naruto and Midna found all 8 monkeys, they were ready to go inside the boss chamber. Inside the boss chamber. As Naruto and Midna went inside the boss chamber, there was a rumbling sound coming from the water as the water began to bubble up. Huh, what's that? Asked Naruto to himself. Suddenly, the 2 heads of the boss, Diababa, appeared. Ha, this should be a piece of cake. Cried Naruto. Fat chance. Said Midna. Shut up, Midna, you're looking at the next Hokage. I'm going to bring not only my friends back, but I'm also going to bring Sasuke back to Konoha. Believe it. Cried a determined Naruto. Whatever. Muttered Midna as Naruto began fighting Diababa. Abruptly, the main head, the big head of Diababa, appeared. It had slime in its mouth while the eye sticking out of it. Yuck. When was the last time you brushed your teeth? Asked Naruto who was grossed out. Then, Naruto heard a monkey making noise. Wait a minute, where's that sound coming from? Asked Naruto. Naruto. Look. Cried Midna as Ook appeared on the left platform and had a bombling in his hand, and began swinging while Naruto knew what he had to do. Understanding how he was supposed to defeat Diababa, he used the Gale Boomerang to bring the bombling to him. Afterward, he destroyed 2 of Diababa's huge Deku Baba heads and began killing Diababa. After it took a few minutes to kill Diababa, the plant-like boss fell at the hands of Naruto Uzumaki, the boy who would become Hokage someday. Sometime later, the poison now turned into water. Suddenly, a fused shadow appeared in Naruto's hands. What's this? Asked Naruto. That is what I was looking for. It's called a fused shadow, said Midna. But, what about that story you were going to tell me about your relationship with Sasuke? Asked Naruto. Well, I've decided that I'm not going to tell you about my relationship with Sasuke yet. You see, the fused shadows are what the spirit, Fora, called a dark power. Naruto, do you remember what the spirit said about you testing out your power against the King of Shadows? Is it that really easy? Huh? Asked Midna. Yeah, but I don't know who this King of Shadows is. Can you just tell me who it is, Midna? You know, just like you promised. Please. Asked Naruto, who gave Midna the puppy eyes. Midna then sighed, and put her hands behind her head as she was sitting down while floating. You really want to know who the King of Shadows is, don't you? Asked Midna. Naruto then nodded his head while still giving Midna the puppy eyes look. Alright, fine. But you cannot tell anyone unless I tell you to. Understand? Asked Midna, who pointed a finger at Naruto. Of course. I'm good at keeping secrets. So who is this King of the Twilight, anyway? Asked Naruto with a grin. Well, I know I'm gonna regret saying this, but the King of the Twilight is your rival and best friend Sasuke Uchiha, said Midna as Naruto's grin turned into a look of shock. What? Could you say that again, Midna? I don't think I understood you, said a confused Naruto. I'm not repeating myself, Naruto. Sasuke is the King of the Twilight. He's the one who caused the ninja world and part of Hyrule to turn into Twilight. Happy? Asked Midna, who was quite annoyed that she had to tell Naruto about Sasuke being the King of the Twilight. I can't believe it. I think Sasuke's gone mad, said Naruto. Darn right he has, muttered Midna. Naruto then put his hands on Midna's shoulders, and said, Midna, why didn't you tell me that Sasuke's the one that caused all this? I've been searching for him for a few months since I last saw him at Orochimaru's lair. Why didn't you tell me that Sasuke is now the King of the Twilight? Tell me, Midna, why? Midna was rather shocked to see Naruto angry about Sasuke. Sure, she's seen Naruto angry about her making fun of Sasuke, and calling him a stupid boy. But never did she see Naruto this angry about Sasuke. Midna then took Naruto's hands off of her shoulders, turned her back to him, and said, I wanted to tell you. Believe me, I tried. But I knew you'd be upset if I told you, to which I already did. But there's one thing I don't understand, though. Why is it that you would go out of your way just to save Sasuke? Midna, said Naruto as Midna turned around to face him. Sasuke is my best friend. It took a while, but now we have a special bond. Well, at least we used to until he severed it, said Naruto. Naruto, you still think that Sasuke's going to come back to Konoha and become a good guy again? But he isn't. Believe me, Naruto, I've seen of how Sasuke acts the way he acts today. But trust me, he's never coming back to Konoha, never. He told me so himself, said Midna. I don't believe you. I'm sure that there's a part of Sasuke that wants to be free from the darkness, said Naruto in disbelief while he turned his face away from Midna, not looking at her. Naruto, look at me, said Midna as Naruto looked at her. Would you rather live in a world where there's nothing but twilight everywhere? Would you rather let Sasuke live and to take over the world as it's being covered in twilight? Or would you rather kill him, and to have this world free of the twilight? Asked Midna. I don't know. All I want is Sasuke back, said Naruto as Midna noticed tears coming out of his eyes. Naruto, thought Midna to herself. First, I lose Sasuke and now I lose Inosai and Sakura too. Maybe those stupid Bulbans took my friends and Sakura to Sasuke, and he might have executed them. I want Sasuke dead, but there's a part of me that wants to keep him alive, said Naruto. Hey look, everything's going to be okay. We'll get through this. After all, Sakura did say that crying won't bring Sasuke back now, will it? Asked Midna. How did you know she said that? Asked Naruto. Well, Sasuke told me that he eavesdropped on your conversation from inside as you were going face to face with him. I've been with Sasuke for a long time now. He's already killed Orochimaru, but I have a bad feeling that Sasuke's going to revive him so they could conquer the world together, said Midna. Well, in any case, even if Sasuke's my best friend, I will stop him no matter what. Believe it, cried a determined Naruto. That's the spirit, Naruto. But I just want to say that I'm sorry for bossing you around everywhere we go. From now on, I'll try and be nicer to you. Also, I'm sorry for making fun of Sasuke. I guess I didn't realize how important he is to you. Well, anyway, there's only 2 more fused shadows that we have to find, meaning that there are 3 of them in total. With these fused shadows, I'll rub these in Sasuke's face, and I'll prove to him that I really hate him so, and I do not love him whatsoever. After all, I'd never bow down to such an evil king like him, wouldn't you agree, Naruto? Asked Midna. Yeah, we'll show him. Well, what are we waiting for? Let's go, cried Naruto as Midna warped the two of them out of the forest temple. Here's the cast. Naruto as Link, Midna, imp and human, as herself, Sakura as Ilia, Sasuke as Zant, Orochimaru as Ganondorf, Kakashi as Russell, Sai as Colin, Hinari as Uli, Choji as Malo, Ino as Beth, Shikamaru as Talo, Kurenai as Perji, Xian as Princess Zelda, Enko as Telma, Asuma as Jagal, Jiraiya as Mayor Bo, Uruka as Fado, Ayame as Sarah, Inoichi as Hanch, Gaara as Prince Rallis, Karura as Queen Rutella, Tamari as Ashe, Kabuto as Shad, Baki as Aura, Zabuza as Renato, Haku as Luda, Ebisu as Barnes, Lady Granny Chio as Impas, Lee as Yetta, Might Guy as Yeto, Gamakichi as Oku, Gamatatsu as Oku Jr., Kiba as Anko's son, Akamaru as Louise, Deidara as Koro, Conan as Iza, Shizune as Henna, Shino as Agatha, Tobi as Falby, Suigetsu as Fire, Yamato as Perlo, Hikaru as Hana, Konohamaru as Keely, Udon as Misha, Danzo as Chudley, Homura as Malvar, Tsunade as Sakura's mother, Michiru as Giovanni, Tazuna as Dr. Borval, Konkuro as Gaara's brother, obviously, Minato as the hero's shade, Naruto's father, obviously, Agatha as Shino's sister, Hinata as herself, Madara as Sasuke and Itachi's uncle. Yes, I know that Madara and Tobi are the same person, but in this story, they are two different people. Nagato is the Temple of Time mini-boss. Itachi is Sasuke's brother, obviously. Hiruzen as Gore Korin. Jugo as Dengoro. Killer Bee as Darbus. As Gore Emoto. Ao as Gore Liggs. Ebizo as Gore Ebizo. Madame Shijimi as Fanity. Postman as himself. Neji as himself. Tenten as herself. Karen as herself. After Naruto and Midna left the forest temple, they were once again back at the spring of the Forest of Death. To avoid confusion, there are two springs from the Forest of Death. One is inside the Forest of Death, while the other spring is outside of the forest. The spring where Sakura, Sai, and Ino got captured is the one inside. Oh, brave Naruto Uzumaki, don't think that Hyrule and the ninja world is free from the Twilight just yet, said Fora. Wait, there's more, asked Naruto. Yes. To the west of the Forest of Death, and outside of Konoha and the Land of Fire is the Land of Waves. There, you will find the spirit, Kiri. Also, there are some people that are waiting for you, said Fora. Wait, who's there in the Land of Waves? Who is there waiting for me anyway? Asked Naruto. You will know once you get there. But be warned, Naruto, these lands are still covered in twilight. They are now known as the Darkened Realm. Yes, the Darkened Realm is covered by dark clouds. However, if you were to enter the Twilight Realm, you would turn back into your fox form, so be prepared. Naruto Uzumaki, hero chosen by the gods, leave these woods and go west to the Land of Waves and to meet the spirit, Kiri. Good luck, Naruto, said Fora as it disappeared in a flash of light. Midna then came out of Naruto's shadow, and said, so searching for your friends, the land covered in twilight, and the light spirit, Kiri of the Land of Waves should make it easier for you to find, right? I guess. Wait, how did you know my friends are there? Asked Naruto. I don't. Who knows? Maybe Sakura might be with them in the Land of Waves, don't you think? You, no, Sakura Haruno, your girlfriend. You know, the girl who used to have a crush on Sasuke. Asked Midna as she turned into Sakura just like she did before she and Naruto left Hyrule Castle. Naruto. You idiot. What did you do to Sasuke-kun? Asked Midna as she imitated Sakura's voice, and then turned into Sasuke. I severed our bond, Naruto. Why? Because I'm evil. Ha 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 ha. Cried Midna as she imitated Sasuke's voice. Ahem. What did I say about making fun of Sasuke? Asked Naruto as Midna turned back into herself. Fine. Well, anyway, you do want to save the light spirits, right? Asked Midna. Midna, have I ever turned down someone who needed my help? Asked Naruto. No, replied Midna. Exactly. Yes, I do want to save the light spirits, and my friends, too. Believe it, cried Naruto. Well, don't worry, Naruto. Once we return to the Twilight Realm, you'll be a fox again. Yay. Hee hee hee. I love it when you're a fox. Don't worry, I'll take good care of you, Naruto, said Midna. Aw man, I hate being a fox, complained Naruto. Hey, do you want to go save your friends while you're in the Twilight Realm or not? Asked Midna. Yes, I do want to save my friends, said Naruto. Then let's leave the Forest of Death, and Konoha to go to the Twilight Realm. Once we get there, I'll be able to help you out. Well, see you later, Naruto. Bye, cried Midna as she went inside of Naruto's shadow. As Naruto reached the exit of Konoha, he looked back at his once peaceful land. Well, I guess I won't be coming home for a little while, thought Naruto as he became sad. He then snapped out of his trance, and went into the land of Hyrule. When Naruto entered Hyrule Field, which was located in the land of grass, he was amazed at how beautiful it was. Just like Kakashi said to Naruto, it wasn't as big as the ninja world, or the land of fire and Konoha. There were two paths that led to two villages. However, it was covered in twilight. One path, in the Twilight Realm, led to Kurigakure, the Hidden Mist Village. Another path led to Sunagakure, the Hidden Sand Village, home of Gaara, the fifth Cage. Gaara was also another one of Naruto's close friends. So this is Hyrule, the land that Kakashi-sensei told me about. Princess Xian once told me that this was the land where the power of the gods was said to slumber, thought Naruto. As Naruto was about to continue his way into Kurigakure, he heard a voice. Hey, Mr. Naruto, said the voice as the postman appeared. Huh, who are you? How do you know my name? Asked a confused Naruto. Go no further, Mr. Naruto. There is a black wall of twilight that blocks the way ahead of you. Although I have thought about delivering letters, sadly, it's impossible to deliver them to people. I am the honorable and dependable letter carrier, the postman. Cried the postman. Okay, said Naruto, who was kind of unsure about what to say or think about the postman. Now that we've introduced ourselves, please, Mr. Naruto, take this letter. Remember to read it. If you want to read a letter, just select the letter that you want to read. Here, take this mail bag, said the postman as he gave Naruto the mail bag. What the heck? Why the heck would I walk around as a hero carrying a stupid mail bag? I've got a sword and shield here, cried Naruto. Naruto, I'll hold it for you, said Midna as she came out of Naruto's shadow. Really? Wow. Thanks, Midna, I guess, said Naruto as Midna held onto it for him. Note: if you want to know where the mail bag is, it's in the pause screen. You know, just pretend that this whole story is like the video game. Well, my business is concluded. Onward to mail, cried the postman as he left Naruto alone with Midna. That guy is creepy, said Naruto. What a weirdo he is. Well, anyway, shall we continue on? Asked Midna as Naruto nodded his head as the two of them continued their search to find the Wall of Twilight. As they found the Wall of Twilight, Midna appeared, and said, well, what do you know? It was much closer than I thought it would be. Well, you do remember what this is, right, Naruto? Yeah, duh, it's the Curtain of Twilight. I've been in that Wall of Twilight before we first entered the Forest of Death, replied Naruto. Well, yes, you are right about being in the Wall of Twilight before. But except we'll be in the Land of Waves. Who knows? Maybe Sasuke, Sakura, and your friends must be there. Well, maybe not Sasuke, but probably Sakura, and the rest of your friends. However, once you set foot into the Twilight Realm, like I said before, you'll be a fox for a little while. Well, depending on how long it takes you to save the Light Spirit, Kiri, from the Twilight Realm. Well, anyway, so shall we go into the Twilight Realm, and to see the Light Spirit, Kiri? My adorable foxy boy, hee hee hee. So, you want to go into the Twilight Realm? Asked Midna. Yes, said Naruto with a nod. Okay, well, here we go, cried Midna as she went inside of the Twilight Realm, and grabbed Naruto with her hair hand. Inside of the Twilight Realm. When Naruto woke up, as a human, he turned back into a fox again. Midna then landed on his back. Great. I'm a fox again, thanks a lot, Midna, said Naruto. You're welcome, foxy boy. So, from now on, you have to do exactly as I say. Hee hee hee. Hey, look at the clouds of twilight. Isn't the weather gorgeous today? Hee hee hee, chuckled Midna. No, they're not. I like it better when I was in the Light Realm. Midna, take me back to Konoha now, demanded a bossy Naruto. Whoa whoa whoa, not so fast, Naruto. You made a promise to Fora to save the ninja world and Hyrule from the Curtain of Twilight, right? Speaking of Twilight, I like it better here in my world. I hate your world, Naruto. Your world stinks. I feel so calm and relaxed here. Oh, did I ever mention that you look so much better as a fox rather than in those stupid orange clothes that you wear? Asked Midna. Hey, they're not stupid. Pervy Sage gave them to me, cried Naruto as Midna began to snicker. Pervy Sage, is that really his or her name? Asked Midna. Well, no, it's a man. His real name is Jiraiya. He's married to the 5th Hokage, Tsunade. Jiraiya and Tsunade are Sakura's parents, said Naruto. Naruto, before I hear about your personal life, how about we find the light spirit, Kiri, and your friends first? Asked Midna. Fine, said Naruto as he and Midna began making their way towards the land of waves. I am going to become Hokage someday. You'll see, Midna, I'm also going to bring Sasuke back. Believe it, thought a determined Naruto. Suddenly, Naruto saw a sketchbook. Hey, is that what I think it is? Wondered Naruto as he walked over to the sketchbook and began to sniff it. He then began to have flashbacks of Shikamaru, Choji, Ino, and Sai. Hey, this is Sai's sketchbook, cried Naruto as he realized that the sketchbook that he found on the ground belonged to Sai. Well, what do you know? If it isn't Sai's sketchbook. Don't worry, I'll hold on to his sketchbook for you, Naruto, cried Midna as she held onto Sai's sketchbook. You see how easy it is to hone your senses. If ever you see something that one of your friends left, just sniff it, and then follow the scent. Ah, I think my precious Naruto has started to reawaken as a fox. He, chuckled Midna as she and Naruto continued their way to the land of waves. However, at the entrance to the land of waves, the Great Naruto Bridge was gone. Note: I know that the Great Naruto Bridge is inside of the land of waves, but just pretend that it's the gorge, just like Kakariko Gorge, an entrance to the land of waves right before going into the Hidden Mist Village, okay? Huh, that's weird, the bridge is gone. I know. Those stupid Twilight messengers caused the bridge to disappear. What a pain. By the way, what is the name of this bridge anyway? Asked Midna. It's called the Great Naruto Bridge. They named it after me, said Naruto. Wait, the people who built it named it after you? Asked Midna as she began to laugh. What? They named it after me because 5 years ago, Sasuke, Sakura, Kakashi Sensei, and myself went on a mission to escort the bridge builder, Tazuna here, said Naruto. That's the stupidest name I ever heard. I mean, seriously, come on, who names a bridge after a famous person? Asked Midna, referring to the Great Naruto Bridge. Hey, you should be grateful that we saved this village, cried Naruto. Well, whatever. Just get out your map so we can find the bridge, said Midna as Naruto got out his map. Hey Naruto, you do know that the yellow arrow represents our location, right? Asked Midna. Midna, I know how to use a map. Trust me, I know what I'm doing, said Naruto. Whatever. Anyway, whenever you kill the Twilight messengers, a portal like this appears on your map. Remember, Naruto, it's a portal. Never forget it. So that means that somewhere around the Forest of Death the Great Naruto Bridge has to be somewhere around there. Look, I'll take you to the location of where the portal is by warping you, just pick wherever you want to go, said Midna as Naruto picked the Forest of Death, to which the two of them ended up warping there. Back in the Light Realm, and at a northern part of the Forest of Death. Naruto and Midna appeared at the northern part of the Forest of Death. Aha, I knew that the Great Naruto Bridge would be here. Say, that doesn't look like it's supposed to belong here, does it? Asked Midna as she floated to where the Great Naruto Bridge was. Well, what do you think, Naruto? Should we take the bridge or what? Asked Midna as she turned around to look at Naruto. Yeah, let's do it, cried Naruto. Good. That's my little foxy boy, cried Midna. She then turned around to face the bridge, and cried out. Warping Jutsu. Midna then warped the bridge to the Gorge of Kurigakure. Back in the Twilight Realm. After the Great Naruto Bridge was finally fixed by Naruto and Midna, she landed on Naruto's back. Midna, asked Naruto. Yeah, asked Midna. Who taught you that jutsu? Asked a confused Naruto. Well, let's just say I learned it from a certain someone, she replied. Let me guess, Sasuke? Asked Naruto. No, why would I learn a jutsu from him? Asked Midna. I don't know. Maybe it's because of your little relationship that you share with him, said Naruto. It's true that I have a connection to Sasuke, but like I said before, I am definitely not in love with him, that's for sure. Anyway, let's get off the Sasuke subject and keep moving forward, said Midna as she and Naruto crossed the Great Naruto Bridge to get into the Land of Waves. In the Land of Waves. As Naruto and Midna got inside the Land of Waves and into the Hidden Mist Village, Kurigakure, they saw 2 Twilight Bulbans at the entrance to the village. Hey, what are those Twilight Bulbans doing here? Kurigakure used to be so peaceful and monster-free, said a confused Naruto. I don't know. I'm wondering that myself. Well, either way, we should be able to destroy them, don't you think? Asked Midna. Alright, let's do it, cried Naruto as he jumped on one of the Twilight Bulbans and bit its chest as it disappeared in a puff of black smoke, as if it had died. Naruto killed the other Twilight Bulban and did the same to it as Naruto killed the other one before he killed this one. Naruto jumped at the remaining Twilight Bulban that was still alive, bit its chest, and killed it as it also disappeared in a puff of black smoke. Alright, we did it. Man, there's something about this place, it brings back a lot of memories. It's like the first time I came here for a mission all over again, said Naruto. Come on, Naruto. Stop daydreaming. We've got work to do. This is no time for nostalgia, said Midna. Okay, said Naruto as he and Midna reached a lake in the hidden mist village while Kiri, who had its light stolen, appeared. I am Kiri and I am a light spirit who had its light stolen. Naruto Uzumaki chosen hero, please find my light, gather the light stolen by those dark beasts, take this, it will aid you in your journey, said Kiri as Naruto got the vessel of light. In the shadows of Twilight, the shadow insects are invisible to the human eye. With the last of my power I will show you where they're located on the map. You see these tears of light have turned into those shadow insects. Be careful Naruto, the dark beasts are looking for you, said Kiri. After Midna and Naruto left Kiri alone at the lake, they continued to follow the scent of Ino, Shikamaru, Choji, and Sai. Just then, the duo came across a house that belonged to Zabuza and Haku. Haku was the son of Zabuza. Recently, Haku and Zabuza had been resurrected by Kabuto, who revived almost everyone back from the dead after Kabuto realized how sick and twisted Orochimaru was. So, Kabuto decided to become a good guy again after leaving Orochimaru with Sasuke. Then, Midna noticed a hole that led to the inside of Zabuza and Haku's house. Naruto, look, there's a hole, maybe you could crawl in there, and see what or who's inside. Don't you want to take a look? Asked Midna. Heck yeah I do, I want to see if my friends are here. Their scent, I can smell them from inside the house, cried a determined Naruto. Then what are we waiting for? Let's go inside the house and see if your friends are there or not, said Midna. But, what if they're not there, Midna? Asked Naruto. Well, if your friends aren't inside the house, then, they wouldn't be there now, would they? Well, at least you try to do your best, right? After all, I have faith in you, said Midna with a smile. Really? I thought you didn't care about me, Midna, said Naruto. Look, as I said before, I like you, Naruto. But now's not the time for that. We've got some friends of yours to see, cried Midna. As Naruto walked up to the hole, he dug in there while Midna went inside of his shadow as the two of them went inside the house. When they got inside of what appeared to be the living room of the Momochi house, Naruto and Midna saw some spirits. Naruto, turn your senses on, cried Midna. Naruto then nodded his head, and turned on his fox senses. Surprisingly, they saw Zabuza sitting on the ground while comforting the frightened Choji, Ino, Sai, and Shikamaru. Haku then sat on a chair. Then, out of the blue, Naruto heard a voice that sounded familiar. Dang it, where are those stinking black beasts? I don't see them anywhere. They must be hiding somewhere, ready to come out at any second once they walk through that door. Once they walk in here, then we'll be dead for sure, said the voice who belonged to Ebisu. Ebisu-sensei, thought Naruto to himself. Shikamaru then looked at Zabuza. Zabuza, I'm scared, said Shikamaru. Fear not, Shikamaru. We'll be safe here in the living room. Besides, Haku already locked the front door. So as long as we're safe in here, then we'll be alright, said Zabuza. HMPH. Well, I wonder if those black brutes agree with you. Surely, they didn't seem too impressed by my bombs. I mean, come on. How on earth could you keep us stuck here in the living room while it also forbids those cursed beasts from entering here, huh? Asked Ebisu. Ebisu, my father knows what he is doing and I have faith in him, said Haku. HMPH. Well, do you remember the lady who used to work at a store around here? Recently, one of those stupid black beasts attacked her, while the whole town of Kurigakure had to save her. So what happened to her? She was gone. You hear me? Gone, while there were two other monsters waiting to be attacked by someone to try and come save that poor woman. Zabuza, are you picking up the hint? So that means that if those monsters try to come and attack us, then we'll be dead, said Ebisu as Zabuza shouted. Ebisu, that's enough. You're scaring everyone. While Ebisu turned away from Zabuza, and looked out the window. I miss Naruto, cried Ino as she began to sob, believing Naruto to be dead. Ebisu then turned around to face Zabuza, and said, Look, Zabuza, all I'm trying to say is that it's dangerous here, too. Isn't there some kind of room that we can use to hide from those beasts? Asked Ebisu. Well, there is a basement, said Zabuza as Ebisu quickly ran up to him, and asked. What? Are you kidding me? Well, where's the entrance, man? The entrance to the basement is downstairs, said Zabuza. As Ebisu was about to bring a flashlight with him to TH basement, Haku said. Ebisu. I would not do that if I were you. Ebisu then turned around to face Haku, and asked. Why not? What's downstairs in the basement? Well, I saw some little insects like the dark beasts from outside, said Haku as Ebisu got a blanket, sat on the couch, put the blanket on top of him, and began to shake in fear while crouching as he was inside the blanket. Don't cry, Ino. Everything's going to be okay, cried Sai. Shut up, Sai. What do you know? Just face it. We're all going to die here. Naruto's not coming to save us never, said the crying Ino. Ino, don't say that because Naruto's coming to save us all, cried Sai as there was silence in the room at the mention of Naruto's name. Ebisu, who took off the blanket, and stopped cowering in fear thought. Wait a minute, since when did Naruto come into the picture? Naruto I can feel him, cried Sai. HMPH. Ino's right, Sai. Naruto's dead. He's not coming to save us. We're all going to die here anyway, said Shikamaru as he felt as if he were going to cry, too. No, you're wrong, Shikamaru, said Sai as he walked to the window. I know that somewhere out there Naruto's alive, said Sai as he looked at his friends. That's why if he were here, he wouldn't want us to be afraid now, would he? He would want us to be brave. So we have to be strong for Naruto, said Sai with a smile as he held out his hand for Ino, Shikamaru and Choji to touch Sai's. For Naruto, cried the Ino Shika Cho trio and Sai as they stopped touching the top of each other's hands and gave each other a high five. Poor Naruto noticed that his friends, along with Haku, Zabuza, and Ebisu, weren't able to notice him because he was in spirit form. Guys, I'm right here, thought a sad Naruto. What's the matter, Naruto? Are you sad that your friends can't see you? Said a teasing Midna with a chuckle and a smirk. Shut up, Midna, you don't even know what it's like for your friends to not notice you, cried Naruto as he was almost about to get all teary-eyed in front of Midna. Alright, fine. I'm sorry for making fun of your friends and for making you feel bad. But Naruto, whatever you do, please don't cry in front of me like that again. I can't stand crybabies, cried Midna. Funny, I don't remember you telling me that you couldn't stand seeing someone like me cry, said Naruto. I wanted to tell you, but I didn't want to make you mad. Now come on. We still have to find the tears of light, cried Midna as she and Naruto continued their way to find the tears of light. 12 tears of light later. After getting the first 8 out of 16 tears of light, Naruto and Midna were on their way to Death Mountain. After climbing up the ramp, they reached the Death Mountain geysers and found another insect. Then, Naruto noticed a howling stone. A howling stone, thought Naruto. After howling the song of healing, suddenly, Naruto felt as if he were transported to another dimension. In Naruto's dream. Then, Naruto saw the golden wolf. Wait, that's the same golden wolf that knocked me out, thought Naruto as he recognized the same golden wolf that knocked him out the last time Naruto met the creature. After Naruto began howling the song of healing, the golden wolf said to him. Let teachings of old pass to you. Naruto Uzumaki, take the sword in your hand and come find me. As the golden wolf jumped off of the ledge and vanished without a trace. Out of Naruto's dream. While Naruto was unconscious, he heard someone shouting his name while shaking him. Naruto. Wake up, you idiot. As soon as Naruto opened his eyes, he heard the voice of an angry Midna, who was in front of him, trying to wake him up. Midna, stop shaking me. I'm awake, doggone it, cried Naruto. Sorry for shouting at you like that, but you've been unconscious for about a minute, which led me to calling your name while you were unconscious, said Midna as Naruto sat up. Yeah, well, just because I was unconscious doesn't mean you have to wake me up by shaking me. Sheesh. You remind me of Sakura because of your feisty attitude towards me, mumbled Naruto as Midna punched him. Ow, cried Naruto. If you say one more thing about me acting like Sakura, I swear I'll kick your butt. Besides, I'm nothing like that Sakura girl, especially when it comes to her talking about how cute Sasuke is in her eyes all the time. That is until Sasuke left Konoha to go to Orochimaru, said Midna. Midna, can we get off of the Sasuke subject and just continue our search for the tears of light? Asked Naruto. Alright, fine, said Midna as she and Naruto continued their search for the last 4 remaining tears of light. 13 tears of light later. After finding the 13th tear of light, Naruto and Midna came across a bomb which was right across the Momochi house. As Naruto found a hole to dig inside the bomb shop, he and Midna went inside the bomb shop. Well, what do you know? We're inside the bomb shop. Hey Naruto, try to see if you can light that fireplace. I could have sworn I heard a Twilight insect in there, said Midna. I'm getting a bad feeling about this. Well, I might as well do what Midna says, thought Naruto as he picked up a stick with his mouth and lit the fireplace. Just then, Naruto smelled something burning. Hey Midna, do you smell something burning? Asked Naruto. Naruto, you're burning the bomb shop, cried Midna as the bomb shop started burning. What? Oh Kami, what do I do? Midna, you have any ideas? Asked a panicked Naruto. Nope. Sorry Naruto. As romantic as this may sound, I'm not going to stay with you. You're just going to have to find a way out. Tee hee hee. Bye. Giggled Midna as she abandoned Naruto inside the burning bomb shop. Oh come on, Midna. You cannot ditch me like that you big jerk, cried Naruto as he crawled through the hole and left with Midna, who was waiting outside, to escape the burning bomb shop. However, the bomb shop burnt the ground. All that was left was the last 3 remaining Twilight insects. There. Now was that so hard to escape out of a burning bomb shop, Naruto? Asked Midna. Naruto then bit Midna. Ow. Naruto. What was that for, you moron? Asked Midna. You left me in a burning bomb shop. Do you think I'll ever forgive you for that? Huh? Asked a ticked off Naruto. Alright. There were 2 reasons why I left you inside the burning bomb shop. Number 1. I didn't want to see you die because I obviously care about you, and number 2. I was trying to save my life. Let's just say I was trying to save both of our lives, okay? Asked Midna. Oh yeah, but if you truly care about me, then why are you so mean to me sometimes? Asked Naruto. Look, I'm trying my best to be nice to you and maybe trying to avoid making fun of Sasuke in front of you, so you should be grateful that I'm helping you out. Do you understand me? Asked Midna. Yeah, I understand you, said Naruto. Naruto, don't say it as if you're annoyed that I have to remind you. Say it like you truly mean it, said Midna. Yes, I understand you, said Naruto. Good. Now let's get the last 3 insects and restore light to this land of Kurigakure, cried Midna. Right, cried Naruto as he finally got the last 3 tiers of light. Afterward, light was finally restored to Kurigakure, and the light spirit, Kiri, appeared in the form of a slug. My name is Kiri. I am one of the light spirits of Hyrule that's located in the land of grass, and of the ninja villages. Naruto Uzumaki, hero chosen by the gods. The dark power that you now seek lies deep within the sacred grounds of Death Mountain, home of the Gorons, and the leader of the Gorons, Hiruzen Sarutobi, said Kiri. Wait, I thought the 3rd Hokage died after being killed by Orochimaru, asked Naruto. Well, a long time ago, Kabuto left Orochimaru after he found out how sick and twisted Orochimaru was. So, after Kabuto left Orochimaru and didn't become his right-hand man anymore, Kabuto revived all the people who had died and decided to become a good guy again, said Kiri. But what about Sasuke's older brother Itachi? Did Kabuto revive him too? Asked Naruto. Well, after the battle between Sasuke and Itachi Uchiha occurred, Sasuke found out about Itachi's truth from Madara, their uncle. So now Sasuke's going to revive his former master Orochimaru just so they could conquer the world together. Naruto, if you don't save the land of grass and the rest of the ninja villages, then the whole world will be covered in twilight. Thus, your friends and loved ones will be turned into spirits. If you don't want that to happen, then stop Sasuke and Orochimaru from taking over the world. Do you understand? Asked Kiri, to which Naruto nodded his head. Very well. Then save all the ninja villages, and Hyrule. Good luck Naruto Uzumaki. We, the light spirits, and the goddesses are counting on you, said Kiri as it disappeared in a flash of light. After Naruto's talk with Kiri, Naruto headed back to the Mist Village. As Naruto was looking for his friends, Ino, Shikamaru, Choji, and Sai were all shocked that Naruto was still alive. Naruto? Asked Sai. Naruto? Cried Ino as she accidentally pushed Sai to the ground while the Ino Shika Cho trio, with Sai following behind, walked up to Naruto. You were right, Sai. Naruto did come to save us. I knew he would, cried Ino as Haku, Zabuza, and Ebisu walked up to Naruto. Naruto, it's been a long time. Remember me? Asked Haku. Of course I do. Why? I saved the land of waves 5 years ago, remember? You're Haku, said Naruto as he pointed a finger at Haku. You're Zabuza, said Naruto as he pointed a finger at Zabuza. And you're Ebisu, the sensei of Konohamaru, Moegi, and Udon, said Naruto as he pointed a finger at Ebisu. So guys, how did the 4 of you end up here? Asked Naruto, referring to Ino, Shikamaru, Choji, and Sai. Well, we don't remember much, said Ino. Ino, you were unconscious. This is what actually happened when you, Sai, and Sakura were kidnapped, said Shikamaru. Flashback to Chapter 3. Choji and Shikamaru were at the entrance to the Forest of Death waiting for Sakura, Ino, and Sai to come back while Naruto was supposed to go to Hyrule in the Land of Grass to deliver a gift to Princess Xian at Hyrule Castle. Man, what's taking Ino and the others so long? Haven't they already said their goodbyes to Naruto? Asked Shikamaru. I don't know. Maybe we should go check on them to make sure they're okay, said Choji, who was still eating his potato chips. Well, alright if you say so, said Shikamaru. I don't know why, but I'm getting a bad feeling about this, thought a worried Shikamaru as he followed Choji inside the Forest of Death. When they got inside the Forest of Death, they were searching for Ino, Sai, and Sakura. However, they seemed to be nowhere in sight. Hey, where's Ino, Sai, and Sakura? Asked Choji. Choji, look out, cried Shikamaru as a Bulban bashed Choji in the head while knocking him unconscious. As Shikamaru was about to attack the Bulban that knocked out his brother, Shikamaru was knocked out too. End of flashback. So wait, you guys were looking for us? Asked Ino. Yes. We thought you were dead. I mean, we were getting worried, you know. Cried Shikamaru. Yeah, but how did you guys end up here then? Asked Naruto. Well, those Bulbans threw us in the water of the Great Naruto Bridge, and thought that we had died. Luckily, Zabuza and Haku saved us. Then afterward, the Great Naruto Bridge disappeared for some odd reason after Ino, Shikamaru, Choji, and myself ended up in the Hidden Mist Village, said Sai. It's funny, when they first came here to our village, we couldn't believe that they would come from a really far away place such as Konoha. You know, Naruto, you and your friends are very lucky to be alive, said Haku with a smile. Thanks, Haku, said Naruto. Then, Naruto noticed that Sakura wasn't with them. Hey, where's Sakura? Asked a concerned Naruto. Oh well, said Sai. We think those monsters may have taken her somewhere else, finished Ino. Really? Do you think she might be imprisoned somewhere on Death Mountain? Asked Naruto. Ah, I see you've heard of Death Mountain, huh? Asked Zabuza. Well, I did hear that a dark power was lying somewhere in there. It's as if Death Mountain is cursed, said Naruto. Correct. The once friendly Gorons of Death Mountain are now our enemies. Now, they're not allowing us to go into their mines. But it's sad that a tribe like the Gorons could change their personalities so sudden. But still, I wonder if the mines have something or someone evil to do with the Gorons' strange behavior. Well, whatever the cause is, I want you to take your friends back to the Leaf Village before anything bad happens. Unfortunately, Haku, Ebisu, and myself cannot leave our own village of K. Irigakure like this. There's no telling of what's going to happen here, so in the meantime, I'm going to try and comfort the Gorons. Unless if you were to go back to Konoha and tell Lady Tsunade, the 5th Hokage, about our Goron problem, then we can try our best to help you out in any way we can, said Zabuza. No way, Zabuza, I'm not going back to Konoha until I give those Gorons a piece of my mind. I'm going off to Death Mountain, cried Naruto as he was off to Death Mountain. Naruto, come back here, cried Ino. Ino, it's alright, let him go, said Zabuza, referring to Naruto. Father, if you'd like, I could go with him, said Haku. Haku, it's too dangerous. You could be killed, cried Zabuza. Father, I'm 20 years old. I'll be fine. Trust me on this, okay Dad? Asked Haku. With a sigh, Zabuza finally said. Alright, thank you, Dad, said Haku as he gave Zabuza a quick hug and was off to follow Naruto. At Death Mountain. When Haku got to Death Mountain, he heard one of the Goron say to Naruto, who climbed up the ladder. No humans allowed, as the Goron rolled Naruto off of the ramp and onto the ground. Ow, cried Naruto as he got up. So, I see you're trying to climb up the Death Mountain trail, huh, Naruto? Asked Haku, who was standing behind Naruto. Haku, what are you doing here? Asked Naruto as he turned around to see Haku standing in front of him. Well, I heard you trying to make that Goron let you pass the trail so you could go to the mines. Unfortunately, you fell, and that fall had me worried, said Haku. I'm fine, thank you, said Naruto. Naruto, do you know a man called Jiraiya? Asked Haku. Yes, he's the husband of Tsunade, the 5th Hokage of Konoha, better known as the Hidden Leaf Village, and he and Grandma Tsunade are the parents of Sakura. Why? Asked Naruto. I remember my father telling me that Jiraiya was an old friend of his, and that he was able to beat the Gorons by testing out his powers against them, and ended up befriending them. Naruto, my father wants you to go to Jiraiya, please. Oh, and while you're there, please let him and the parents of Ino, Shikamaru, Choji, and Sai know that their children are safe here in the Land of Waves. Good luck, cried Haku as he gave Naruto a friendly hug. Thanks, Haku. I knew I could count on you guys, said Naruto as he and Haku went back to the Hidden Mist Village. Suddenly, as Naruto was about to leave the Hidden Mist Village and the Land of Waves, he heard a horse whinny. Huh? Asked Naruto as Epona came rushing into the Hidden Mist Village. There was Bulbins on her back. As Epona was almost about to run into Naruto, luckily, Naruto got out of her way and rolled to the side. After the Bulbins were defeated, Naruto got onto Epona, who was out of control. Epona, what's gotten into you, girl? It's me, Naruto, cried Naruto as Epona was trying to get him off of her. Finally, after calming Epona down, she eventually recognized Naruto because of the way that he trained her. Good girl. It's good to have you back, Epona, cried Naruto as he pet Epona's brown skin, and gave her a gentle pat on her saddle. Wow, you sure know how to tame a horse, huh? Asked a surprised Midna, who came out of Naruto's shadow. Yeah, I've known Epona since I got her as a birthday present at my 16th birthday party last year, said Naruto. Yeah, we don't have time for nostalgia, Naruto. Remember, we're going back to Konoha for you to learn that technique that Jiraiya used on the Gorons. Then, we're going to tell the parents of Choji and Shikamaru, Ino, and Sai that their children are okay. After that, we're going straight back to here, the Land of Waves. So no dilly-dallying, capiche? Asked Midna. Ah, come on, Midna. I've been away from home for so long. Can't I at least take a short break? Please? Asked Naruto, who gave Midna the puppy dog eyes. Midna, who couldn't resist Naruto's cute puppy dog face that he was giving her, sighed, and said. Alright, we'll stay in Konoha for a few minutes. But like I said, after that, we're coming back here. Understood? Asked Midna. Yes ma'am, cried Naruto, who grinned at Midna. With that, the duo were off to Konoha. However, as Midna and Naruto were just about to reach Konoha, the postman cried. Hey, Mr. Naruto. Oh no, not him again, thought an annoyed Naruto, who was starting to get annoyed with the postman coming to bring him letters. The postman then ran up to Naruto, and said, Greetings, Mr. Naruto. I've got a letter for you from Gamakichi and Gamatatsu. Well, here you go, cried the postman as he gave Naruto the letter. Well, I guess I better read the letter, said Naruto. Read it when we get to Konoha, demanded Midna. Fine, muttered Naruto as he and Midna went inside the village of Konoha. As they reached the gates of Konoha, Hinata was surprisingly waiting for Naruto. Naruto, who's that? Asked Midna. Oh, that's Hinata Hyuga, the cousin of Neji Hyuga. She kind of has a crush on me, said Naruto. Oh really? I thought you said you liked Sakura. Asked Midna. Well, I only think of Sakura as a friend, but I still like her as a girlfriend, said Naruto. But Hinata doesn't know about it. Asked Midna. Well, Sakura doesn't really show her affection towards me, but I guess she kind of likes me, said Naruto. Yeah, but does Hinata know that you're still in love with Sakura? Asked Midna again. Yeah, pretty much, said Naruto. Ah, young love, I can't believe it. Naruto Uzumaki, the hero chosen by the goddesses of Hyrule and the ninja world, is in love with two girls, but he doesn't know who to choose. Thought Midna, who giggled in her head. Just then, Hinata saw Naruto come up to her while he was on Epona. Naruto-kun, I see you've returned to the Leaf Village. Everyone was so worried about you. Choji, Ino, Shikamaru, Sai, and Sakura, said Hinata, who began to fidget with her fingers as usual. Yeah, that reminds me. Would you mind telling everyone in the village that Ino, Shikamaru, Choji, and Sai are alright? Asked Naruto. I'd rather you tell them, Naruto-kun, said Hinata. Okay, but after that, I'm taking you out on a ramen afternoon date, cried Naruto. A ramen afternoon date? Asked Hinata, who began to blush. Yeah, come on, cried Naruto as he grabbed Hinata's hand while she sat on Epona as Naruto put Hinata behind him. At the Hokage's office, after Naruto and Hinata told Tsunade that the Ino Shika Cho trio, Ino, Shikamaru, and Choji, and Sai were alive and well, Tsunade said. I see. So Ino, Sai, Shikamaru, and Choji are still alive and are staying in the Land of Waves with Zabuza, Haku, and Ebisu. But what about Sakura? Asked Tsunade as Naruto became sad at the mention of Sakura's name. Well, Sai said that the monsters that kidnapped him, Ino, Choji, and Shikamaru might have taken Sakura somewhere else, said Naruto. Oh, so you don't know if she's alive or dead? Asked Tsunade as Naruto sadly shook his head. Oh, I see. Is that so? Well, no matter. I will notify the parents of Choji and Shikamaru, Ino, and Sai that the children are okay. For now, just relax for a little while, said Tsunade. Okay, said Naruto as he and Hinata left the Hokage's office, and were on their way to Ichiraku Ramen. When they got to Ichiraku Ramen, Chuki was the first one to greet Naruto. Naruto. Is that really you, Naruto? Asked Chuki. Yep. It's really me. Believe it. I'm ready for a bowl of ramen, old man. Cried Naruto. Well, alright then. One for you, and one for Hinata. Said Chuki as he gave Naruto and Hinata their bowls of ramen. So, I see you finally returned to Konoha, Naruto. Said a voice who belonged to Kakashi. Kakashi-sensei. Cried Naruto as he noticed Kakashi coming into Ichiraku Ramen. Hinata. Go home. I need to talk to Naruto alone. Meanwhile, you go tell the others that Ino, Shikamaru, Choji, and Sai are safe. Said Kakashi. With a quick nod, Hinata left Ichiraku Ramen and was on her way to the Nara house, Yamanaka house, and Hitaki house to tell the parents that their children were safe. So, I hear that Sai and the others are safe, huh? Asked Kakashi. Yeah. Said Naruto. But was Sakura with them? Asked Kakashi. No. Kakashi-sensei, what do you think happened to her? You don't someone killed her, do you? Asked Naruto. Maybe. But then again, Sakura's a strong girl, no? Asked Kakashi. Kakashi-sensei, I know what I saw. I saw Sakura, Ino, and Sai getting kidnapped by those Bulbans. One of the Bulbans must have killed Sakura for sure. Cried Naruto. I know. But Naruto, just believe in yourself. I know that somewhere Sakura's out there alive and I have faith in her. Like I said before, she's a strong girl. She can take care of herself, no? Asked Kakashi. You're right. Anyway, I'm going to Jiraiya's place. Said Naruto as he left Ichiraku Ramen and was on his way to Jiraiya's house. When Naruto got to Jiraiya's house, he knocked on the door. Who is it? Asked Jiraiya. It's Naruto. Said Naruto as Jiraiya opened the door. Naruto. Is that really you? Asked a shocked Jiraiya who couldn't believe that Naruto was still alive, and not dead. Yes. It's me, pervy sage. Cried Naruto. Come in. Cried Jiraiya as Naruto went inside his house. After Naruto told Jiraiya that Ino, Shikamaru, Sai, and Choji were safe in the land of waves, Jiraiya said. So Ino, Shikamaru, Sai, and Choji are safe, huh? You said that Zabuza's taking really good care of them. You better believe it, pervy sage. You better believe it. Cried Naruto with a grin. Well, aren't you going to tell me about Sakura's whereabouts? Is she alive? If so, is she with the others? Asked Jiraiya referring to Ino, Shikamaru, Choji, and Sai. No, said Naruto. Oh, I see. That's not the answer I was expecting to hear coming out of your lips, Naruto. But, I guess I cannot be a selfish father and think only of my daughter, but I also have to think about the other 4 kids as well, too. Cried Jiraiya. Pervy sage, don't forget that she's also the daughter of the 5th Hokage. Cried Naruto. I know, said Jiraiya. Oh, but I also wanted to talk to you about the Gorons of Death Mountain, said Naruto. Ah, you wish to learn about the Gorons of Death Mountain, right? Asked Jiraiya as Naruto nodded his head. Well, it's true that I beat the Gorons in a contest of strength, to which I later on befriended them. However, I beat the Gorons with a special, secret technique, of mine, said Jiraiya. What, is it a jutsu or something? Asked Naruto. No, said Jiraiya. Then what is it? Asked Naruto. Alright, before I tell you about my secret technique, I want you to promise me that you will not tell anyone. Do you understand? Asked Jiraiya. Naruto then nodded his head. Very well. Right this way, said Jiraiya as Naruto went to the Haruno backyard. In the Haruno backyard, there was a dojo, a sumo wrestling ring, that Jiraiya often used for sumo wrestling. Naruto, have you ever heard of sumo wrestling? Asked Jiraiya. Sort of, said Naruto. Well, Gorons like to test out their strength in sumo wrestling contests like these. But lucky for you, the basics of sumo wrestling are the same thing as herding goats. You understand what I'm saying, don't you? Asked Jiraiya as Naruto nodded his head. Alright, well, here's how the game works. The first person to get pushed off of the ring wins, said Jiraiya. So, is it like a life or death situation? Asked Naruto. No, it's nothing like that. Look, all you have to do is number 1. Step forward and grab your foe. Number 2. Strike a foe that's about to flee. And number 3. Sidestep an attacking foe. These techniques that I just showed you are pretty basic. Remember, if you master all 3 of these sumo wrestling techniques, you'll be knocking out your opponents out of the ring, Naruto. So, are you ready? Go. Asked Jiraiya as Naruto took off their shirts, and began to wrestle. One sumo wrestling match later. After the match was over, surprisingly, Naruto beat Jiraiya at his own sumo wrestling game. I can't believe you beat me. You've gotten stronger since the last time I saw you. Well, I might as well give you this. But you cannot tell anyone that I gave you this, especially Zabuza. Capiche? Asked Jiraiya as Naruto nodded his head, who was given the iron boots by Jiraiya. I'll keep my word, pervy sage. Believe it, cried Naruto as he and Midna head off to Naruto's house. At Naruto's house. So this is your house, huh? Asked Midna as Naruto was showing her his house. Yep. Do you like it? Asked Naruto with a grin. Your house looks like a dump. I mean, look at the floor. I bet you don't even clean up your trash in here. Cried Midna as she noticed that there were cups of ramen on the floor, milk cartons, clothes, etc. I do too. You just don't see me do it. Cried Naruto with angry anime bulging white eyes while pointing a finger at Midna. Whatever, pig. Muttered Midna. Then, she noticed something on Naruto's nightstand. Naruto, what's this picture doing on your nightstand? Asked Midna as she showed the picture of Team 7 together. Oh, this is the picture that the four of us took when we first became Team 7. Said Naruto, referring to him, Sakura, Sasuke, and Kakashi. So that's Sasuke when he was younger, huh? Asked Midna. Yes. Said Naruto. Do you mind if we take this picture of the four of you together? Asked Midna as she was referring to Naruto, Sakura, Sasuke, and Kakashi. Sure, I don't mind. Besides, it might come in handy. Said Naruto. Okay, I'll hold it for you. Said Midna as she put away the picture of Team 7 in the pause screen. Come on, let's head back to the land of waves. Cried Naruto. As Midna nodded her head, she and Naruto immediately left Konoha, and were on their way to the land of waves. Meanwhile, back in Kurigakure, Ino and Shikamaru were inside the Hidden Mist village waiting for Naruto to return. Hey Shikamaru, do you ever wonder if Naruto's going to come back? Asked Ino. Hey, Naruto's a strong guy, Ino. He'll live. Besides, what could happen? Asked Shikamaru. Suddenly, they heard rumbling. When Ino and Shikamaru saw King Bulban and his Bulbans coming, Ino and Shikamaru widened their eyes in shock. Ino, run! Cried Shikamaru as he ran inside the Mamamiki house to tell Sai that Ino was about to be kidnapped by King Bulban again. As soon as Sai got outside, he witnessed the scene, and noticed that Ino was about to get kidnapped. Ino, get out of the way! Ino, cried out Sai, but it was no use. Ino was completely mesmerized by King Bulban, who was almost about to come and grab her. What would Naruto do? I know, I've got to save Ino. Thought a determined Sai as he pushed Ino out of the way, and ended up getting knocked out by one of the Bulban's blackjacks. Sai, cried Ino. Huh, what's going on here? Asked a panicked Ebisu, who came outside to see what was happening. King Bulban then lifted up his helmet. Mommy, whimpered Ebisu as he ran back inside the bomb shop that was right next to the Momomochi house. Then, a hoarse neighed while voice cried out. Sai. Luckily, Naruto came riding on Epona and was about to save Sai. King Bulban held the unconscious Sai as if it was telling Naruto to try and come save Sai. Let go of my friend, you monster! Cried Naruto as he began chasing King Bulban around the village while shooting arrows at him. Finally, as King Bulban got shot in one of shoulders by one of Naruto's arrows. Then, King Bulban and Naruto ended up doing a horse battle on the Great Naruto Bridge. Naruto noticed that Sai was tied to a pole. Naruto then began riding Epona to where King Bulban was heading towards him. After Naruto hit King Bulban with the Konoha sword 3 times, it fell off the Great Naruto Bridge and into the water. Naruto then did his victory stance, the stance that Link did in Twilight Princess after he defeated King Bulban the first time. After that, Naruto got off of Epona, untied Sai, who was stuck to the King Bulban's pole, and waited for Zabuza and the others to return. After Ebisu, Zabuza, Haku, Ino, Choji, and Shikamaru got to the Great Naruto Bridge, they all saw Sai in Naruto's arms. Ino began to immediately heal Sai ASAP. Then, Sai opened his eyes. Naruto, is everyone alright? Asked Sai. Yes, everyone's here, look. Said Naruto as Sai looked at the Ino Shika Cho trio, Zabuza, and Haku. Sai, you know, you've had us all worried. Said Haku. Well, I'm glad I survived. Said Sai with a smile. Ino, I'm sorry for pushing you. You're not mad, are you? Asked Sai while Ino shook her head. Of course I'm not mad. I'm just happy that you saved me. I'm glad to be still alive. Thank you, Sai. Said Ino. Sai then looked at Naruto. I think I finally understand. I understand what my father told me when I needed to be stronger like you, Naruto, said Sai as he raised his right hand into the air. My father wasn't talking about strength like lifting stuff, learning new jutsus, and wanting to kill people. No, my father was talking about being brave, said Sai as he made a fist, and then looked at Naruto. Naruto, you were the one that saved me, right? Asked Sai. Of course I did. If I hadn't gotten here on time, then you would have already gotten captured, and would have never been seen again, said Naruto. Naruto, I know that you can do anything. You can do something to help the Gorons in the mines, can't you? Asked Sai. Yes, said Naruto, who nodded his head. Naruto, if I die, look after Ino, Shikamaru, and Choji for me and promise me that you'll save Sakura, alright? Asked Sai as he slipped into unconsciousness. Note. Don't worry. Sai's not dead. He just slipped into unconsciousness like Colin did in the game. Sai, cried the Ino Shika Cho trio. Sai, said Ino as she began crying on top of Sai, believing him dead. Ino Haku, Ebisu, and I will take Sai back to the Hidden Leaf Village. They have the best hospital there. You, Choji, and Shikamaru are coming back with me. It's time for you to go home, said Zabuza as he put the unconscious Sai on his back. As Zabuza and the others were about to leave, Ino ran up to Naruto, and said, Naruto, you will try to help the Gorons in the mines, and you will try to save Sakura, right? Yes. Yes, I will, said Naruto with a smile. Good. Well, see you back in Konoha, said Ino as she left with Zabuza, Haku, Ebisu, Choji, and Shikamaru and went back to the Hidden Leaf Village with the unconscious Sai on Zabuza's back. Naruto then turned around to look at Death Mountain. Wow, that was a brave thing you did, Naruto. I mean, saving Sai and all, said Midna, who came out of Naruto's shadow. Hey, Sai was the one that saved Ino from getting captured by those Bulbans who kidnapped her, Sakura, and Sai recently, said Naruto. I know, but I think you deserve the credit, don't you think? Asked Midna with a smile. Yeah, I guess I do. Well, Midna, it's time to go to Goron Mines, cried Naruto as Midna went back in his shadow. After Naruto entered Death Mountain once again, he took a deep breath, and felt that he was ready to take on the Gorons of Death Mountain. Once Naruto climbed up the ladder, the same Goron that knocked Naruto off of the ramp was still there. Oh, you again, human. I told you once before, and I'll say it again, no humans allowed, cried the Goron as he was about to roll Naruto off of the cliff until Naruto said, oh yeah, well, eat this, rock man. As the Goron was about to roll Naruto off the ramp once more until Naruto wore the iron boots, and grabbed the rolling Goron, and threw him off the ramp. Ha, that's what happens when you mess with Naruto Uzumaki. Believe it. What do you say about that, Midna? Asked Naruto. Well, I am kind of shocked since you've gotten this strong. And here I thought you were pretty weak. But I guess I was wrong, said a surprised Midna. Well, who did you think you saved back at Hyrule Castle? A weakling. You're looking at Naruto Uzumaki, the next Hokage. Believe it, cried Naruto. Yeah. Now let's continue our trail up the mountain, said Midna as she and Naruto continued making their way to Death Mountain. Suddenly, as Naruto and Midna were about to continue their trip up to Death Mountain, they heard something about to fall. Naruto, look out, cried Midna as she pushed Naruto out of the way and went inside of his shadow. After Naruto got up, he saw a big gigantic rock that was on the ground. Note. I'm sure that for those of you who have played the game, you probably already know which rock I'm talking about when you first enter Death Mountain as a human after you save Colin from King Bulban. Whoa, this is one of the biggest rocks I've ever seen, cried an astonished Naruto. I wonder if this is our welcome present from the Gorons. Tee hee, giggled Midna. Midna, how would this big rock be a welcome present for us from the Gorons? That rock almost killed us, cried Naruto. Technically, it almost killed you, said Midna. Me, I didn't even hear anything until this big rock appeared, cried Naruto. Let's just say it almost killed both of us, alright. Alright, let's continue our way up the mountain, cried Midna as she and Naruto continued to climb their way up Death Mountain. Inside the inner sanctum of Death Mountain, as Naruto was about to enter Goron Mines, the Gorons were about to attack Naruto by rolling him out of their sanctuary. Suddenly, a voice said, that's enough. As Naruto saw who came out, he couldn't believe who it was, the third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi. Lord Hokage, cried Naruto. Naruto, do not call me Lord Hokage anymore. Call me Hiruzen, said Hiruzen. Huh, what do you mean? Asked Naruto. Naruto, do you remember what the light spirit, Kiri, told you? Asked Hiruzen as Naruto remembered what the light spirit Kiri told him. Well, a long time ago, Kabuto left Orochimaru after he found out how sick and twisted Orochimaru was. So, After Kabuto left Orochimaru and didn't become his right-hand man anymore, Kabuto revived all the people who had died and decided to become a good guy again. Hiri's words echoed inside of Naruto's head. Hiruzen, it really is you, said Naruto as the other Gorons were murmuring about Naruto's relationship with Hiruzen. Lord Hiruzen, do you actually know who this Naruto kid is? Asked one of the Gorons. Ah, but of course. Why, Naruto's the son of the fourth Hokage, Minato Namikaze, said Hiruzen. Hiruzen, that's not exactly why I'm here, said Naruto. Oh, then why are you here, Naruto? Asked Hiruzen. Well, I'm here because I want to solve your little Goron problem, said Naruto as the other Gorons laughed at him. Yeah, right. You really think you can try and solve our Goron problem? You don't even know what you're talking about, kid, cried one of the Gorons. Gorons. That's enough. Let Naruto speak. I'm sorry, Naruto. Please continue, said Hiruzen. Anyway, a man named Zabuza Momochi who lives in the land of waves said that your Gorons used to be nice. Now they're mean, cried Naruto. We heard that, cried one of the Gorons. Shut up. Anyway, Zabuza said that your Gorons have been acting strange lately. Hiruzen, would you mind telling me what is going on? Asked Naruto. Oh, well, unfortunately, something has happened to our patriarch, Killer Bee, said Hiruzen. Why, what's happened to this Killer Bee person? Asked Naruto. Well, when he first entered our Goron mines while the Gorons were working in the mines, he somehow came across a dark power in there. Thus, Killer Bee has been transformed into a monster called Pyrus, which is why we kept him imprisoned in Goron mines. However, I ended up becoming the patriarch in Killer Bee's place, said Hiruzen. So wait, let me get this straight. You want me to help you save Killer Bee, so that way, Pyrus will be destroyed, and peace will once again be brought to Death Mountain? Asked Naruto. Correct. However, there is a catch, said Hiruzen. Well, what's the catch? Asked Naruto. Hiruzen then smirked at Naruto, and replied. You, Naruto Uzumaki, would have to beat me in a sumo wrestling match in order to go inside Goron mines. Hey, if you want a sumo wrestling match, I'll give you one, old man. But I warn you, I will win. Believe it, cried a determined Naruto. Ah, I like your determination, Naruto. Well, shall we begin our sumo wrestling match? Asked Hiruzen. Bring it on, cried Naruto as he and Hiruzen began sumo wrestling. One sumo wrestling match later. After Naruto surprisingly won the sumo wrestling match, the other Gorons were shocked at the fact that such a strong boy like Naruto could defeat the leader of the Gorons, Hiruzen Sarutobi. Wow, you've gotten stronger since the last time I saw you, Naruto, said Hiruzen, who began panting while wiping the sweat off of his chin from his sumo wrestling match with Naruto. Ha, I told you I was strong, didn't I, old man? Asked Naruto as Hiruzen got up, and said. HMPH. Well, since you proved your strength to me, I suppose I could let you go inside the Goron mines and to rescue our patriarch, Killer Bee. However, there are 3 of our other elders of the Gorons waiting for you inside. Each of them will give you a key shard which will form a bigger key that will unlock the door to Killer Bee's prison. Naruto, I beg of you, please save Killer Bee, and restore peace to Death Mountain, said Hiruzen. Alright then. Well, it's off to Goron mines I go. See ya suckers, cried Naruto as he went inside Goron mines. Half an hour into the dungeon. After Naruto reached one of the Goron elders' rooms, there stood Killer Bee's adoptive brother. Ah, I see you've come to receive a key shard from me. Correct me if I'm wrong, but did Lord Hiruzen send you here to save our patriarch, Killer Bee? Asked Yes, I'm Naruto Uzumaki, said Naruto. Naruto, it's a pleasure to meet you. I am Killer Bee's adoptive brother, said Wait, your name is as in the letter A, the first letter of the alphabet? Asked Naruto as he started laughing. What? My father gave me this name. What's wrong with that? Asked Nothing. I'm not going to bother saying any more, said Naruto, who stopped laughing. Anyway, please take this key shard, and rescue my adoptive brother, said as he gave Naruto the first key shard. Don't worry, I will try my best to save your adoptive brother. Believe it, cried Naruto as he left alone in the room. However, after he climbed up the ladder, Naruto heard some croaking. Midna, did you hear that? Asked Naruto. Hear what? I don't hear anything, said Midna. No, that croaking, it sounds like a frog, said Naruto. Wait, you don't mean, said Midna. Yep, Gamakichi and Gamatatsu are here, said Naruto. Naruto, cried Gamakichi and Gamatatsu, who jumped to where Naruto and Midna were. Long time no see, buddy. cried Gamatsu. Oh, for the love of Nairu, not you two again, said Midna, who was rather disappointed to meet Gamakichi and Gamatatsu here in the Goron mines. Let me guess you're still looking for that item? Asked Naruto. Oh yes indeed. Why, would you mind helping us out again, Naruto? Asked Gamatatsu. Alright, said Naruto as Gamakichi and Gamatatsu went inside of Naruto's jacket. Naruto then noticed that Midna turned her back toward him. Midna, what's wrong? Asked Naruto. Why is it that these two frogs have to come with you on your journey to save Hyrule and the ninja world? I thought I was the only companion to accompany you on your journey. Asked a jealous Midna as Naruto turned Midna's back towards him as he looked at her, and said. Look, Gamakichi and Gamatatsu will only be here for a little while. After we save Killer Bee, then we won't be seeing Gamakichi and Gamatatsu for quite some time, or for now, at least that's what I think. Don't be too sure about that, Naruto. Come on. We still have to find 2 more keys so we can save Killer Bee, said Midna as she hid in Naruto's shadow. Sheesh. What's her problem? Thought a confused Naruto as he continued his way into Goron mines. A few minutes later, finally, Naruto reached the second Goron elder, Ebizo, Chio's little brother. Ah, Naruto. It's been a long time, said Ebizo. Hey Ebizo, how've you been? Asked Naruto. Well, I'm still trying to help out the Gorons and Lord Hiruzen in any way I can to try and save our patriarch, Killer Bee. Here, take this key shard. It might come in handy, said Ebizo as he gave Naruto the second key shard. Alright, 2 key shards down, 1 to go, cried Naruto as he continued his way to the dungeon. As Naruto got inside the mini-boss room, he saw a man named Jugo at the other side of the room. Ah, a human. What business does a human like you have with our patriarch Killer Bee? What are you doing here? Asked Jugo. Just pretend that Jugo in the cursed seal form is his monster form. Jugo and Suigetsu did not go to Orochimaru and join Team Hawk. But you'll find that out later in the story. Look, I'm only here to save him. I was sent by Hiruzen Sarutobi, the leader of the Gorons, to come save your patriarch Killer Bee, said Naruto. HMPH. Well, Jugo, will not let you get past here. If you get past here, you're going to have to get through me, little human. Ha 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 ha, cried Jugo as he began to turn into a monster. Give me a break, complained Naruto. Naruto, if he lands on the platform, try to attack him with the Konoha sword, said Midna referring to Jugo. Yeah, but if he flies around like a bird since he has those strange wings, what should I do then? Asked Naruto. Look, if ever Jugo starts to fly and shoots fireballs at you, or something, then run around the platform, and avoid getting hit by his fireballs, said Midna. Yeah, but isn't that like me panicking while saying, the sky is falling? The sky is falling? Asked Naruto. No you idiot. Look, just defeat Jugo so we can get the last key shard to Killer Bee's prison room, said Midna, who was getting annoyed with Naruto acting like an idiot. Fine, I will. Sheesh, what more do you want from me, Midna? Asked Naruto. For you to stop acting like an idiot so we can get the second fused shadow that's in this dungeon, said Midna. I hate you, said Naruto, who was tired of Midna calling him an idiot. Naruto then charged at Jugo with his sword as Naruto began to attack Jugo with the Konoha sword. Then, Naruto had an idea. He picked up Jugo, and threw him into the lava, which made his butt hurt. Jugo then landed back on the platform and continued to attack Naruto. Naruto then picked up Jugo 2 more times, and threw him into the lava until Naruto surprisingly won the battle. Jugo then landed back on the platform. Jugo then turned back into his human form. Ow, that really hurt a lot, you know. At first, I thought you were pretty weak. But I guess I was wrong, groaned Jugo. Hey, well, you picked the wrong day to mess with me, Naruto Uzumaki, the one who's going to become Hokage someday. Believe it, cried Naruto. Naruto, I ask of you. Take the hero's weapon and save our patriarch Killer Bee, said Jugo. I will. But, what about you? Aren't you going to come? Asked Naruto. Well, after I rest here for a few minutes, I'm going back to Death Mountain. Naruto, good luck, said Jugo. Thank you, said Naruto as he headed inside the room where the hero's weapon was. When Naruto opened the treasure chest, he got the hero's bow. Well, what do you know? The Gorons and the elders gave me a hero's bow. Sweet. This could come in handy during my boss fight with Killer Bee. Alright, key shard, ready or not, here comes Naruto Uzumaki, cried Naruto as he went inside the last Goron elder's room. In the Goron elder's room, there stood Ao, the last of the Goron elders. Ah, I'm surprised that you have made it this far. I am Ao, The last of the Goron elders, said Ao. I'm Naruto Uzumaki. It's a pleasure to meet you, Ao, cried Naruto with a grin. I see you are determined to free our patriarch Killer Bee, are you not? Asked Ao. Yes. Yes I am, said Naruto. Well, since I did have a vision that you would come here, I give you the last key shard to Killer Bee's prison room. Here you go, cried Ao as he gave Naruto the last key shard. The hero's bow that you took from that treasure chest in the other room before this room, the hero's bow itself is said to have defeated the mightiest evils the world has ever known. I think it will be of use to you while fighting Virus, and saving Killer Bee. Well, good luck, Naruto. May the goddesses be with you, said Ao as Naruto was on his way to the boss room. Inside the boss chamber. As Naruto went inside the boss room to where Killer Bee was being held, Naruto noticed that Killer Bee was not there. Midna, where's Killer Bee? I don't see him anywhere, cried Naruto as he noticed a shocked Midna, whose jaw dropped while looking at something glowing red on Virus' head. Midna, what's wrong? Why are you looking at me like that? Asked a confused Naruto. Naruto, look out, cried Midna as Virus' eyes turned red as he began growling at Naruto while Naruto defended himself with his shield. Naruto then noticed that Virus had fire all around its body. Nice monster, whimpered Naruto, who was taking a few steps back to avoid getting hurt. Good grief. This boss fight might take forever, thought Midna as she hid inside of Naruto's shadow while Virus began chasing Naruto around the room. This is bad. This bad, thought a freaked out Naruto as he realized what he needed to do. With the arrow's bow, Naruto shot an arrow at Virus' head which hurt the creature pretty bad. Then, Naruto put on the iron boots that Jiraiya gave him, and grabbed onto a chain that was stuck to Virus' left leg as Virus fell on the ground. Naruto then ran to Virus' side and attacked its head with the Konoha sword 2 times as Virus got up once again. Naruto put the iron boots on again, quickly ran to Virus, grabbed onto another chain that was stuck to Virus' right leg which made Virus fall to the ground. Naruto then ran to Virus, hit its head with the Konoha sword 3 more times. After Virus' body was engulfed with fire once again, Naruto then shot another arrow at Virus' head while Naruto put on the iron boots, grabbed the same chain that was on Virus' right leg which made Virus fall to the ground while Naruto attacked Virus with the ending blow sword technique that his father Minato taught him, and Virus was finally defeated as the creature turned back into an unconscious Killer Bee. Then, another of the fused shadows appeared in Naruto's hands. Midna then came out of Naruto's shadow and said, "Good job, Naruto. Man, you really are strong. I'm sorry I ever called you a weakling. Well, we only have one more fused shadow left to find. Midna, I want to ask you something," said Naruto. Huh, what's wrong, Naruto? Asked Midna. You know how you told me back in the forest temple that Sasuke was the king of the Twilight? Asked Naruto. Yeah, so what about him? Midna asked. Well, I've always been curious to how you first met him, said Naruto. Well, I guess there's more to my relationship with Sasuke that you need to hear. This is how I met him. It all started about 1 year ago, said Midna as she told Naruto the story of how she and Sasuke first met. Flashback. 1 year ago. Already, a few days had passed since Sasuke had killed Orochimaru. A 16-year-old Sasuke Uchiha was making his way to the Palace of Twilight, which was located inside the Mirror of Twilight that was inside of the Gerudo Desert's mirror chamber. Sasuke then took a deep breath, and thought, well, here goes nothing. As Sasuke stepped onto the platform, and disappeared into the Palace of Twilight. Inside the Palace of Twilight. When Sasuke got inside of the Palace of Twilight, he was rather shocked to see a world that was completely different, compared to the light world. Sasuke then continued his way into the Palace of Twilight until he finally reached the Twilight King, Calm, sitting in his throne in the throne room. Calm was a tall male Twilly with an orange mustache, and orange eyes. He wore a black robe, and a crown on top of his head. Your Majesty, said Sasuke. Oh, and who might you be? Asked Calm. I am Sasuke Uchiha. I am a former servant of Orochimaru's. I wish to speak to your daughter Midna about something, said Sasuke. Note: if you want to know how Sasuke knew about Midna and her entire family and life as the Twilight Princess of the Palace of Twilight Princess, let's just say that Sasuke did research on Midna while using one of the computers in Orochimaru's lair. Also, about Midna's past with Sasuke, their past takes place a year prior to the legend of Naruto, Twilight Princess, ever started. Very well. She's in the gardens, said Calm as Sasuke went to the gardens of the Palace of Twilight. As Sasuke reached the gardens, he heard Midna singing her own theme. Sasuke then quickly followed to where the singing was coming from, and saw Midna standing on the balcony of the Palace of Twilight. As Midna was singing her theme, Sasuke was amazed at how beautiful she was. Back then, Sasuke always thought that the other girls back in Konoha were annoying, and just not his type. But Midna was just the type of girl of who Sasuke would want to restore his clan with. Note: Midna's a human in this part, so for those of you who have beaten Twilight Princess, you obviously know what she looks like as a human. Sasuke then slowly took a few steps towards Midna until she finished her song. Huh, who are you? Asked Midna. I'm Sasuke Uchiha. You must be Midna, the Twilight Princess, said Sasuke. How did you know my name? Asked Midna. Midna, I would like to talk to you about something in private. It's rather important, I should say, said Sasuke. Very well, we shall talk in my room, said Midna as she and Sasuke went inside of her room and sat on her bed. Now then, what is it that you wish to talk to me about? Asked Midna. Midna, I need your help on finding my brother, said Sasuke. What, is he missing? Asked Midna. No, I have to kill him, said Sasuke as Midna was quite shocked at what he told her. Kill him? Why? What did he do? Asked Midna as Sasuke explained to her of how his older brother Itachi killed the entire Uchiha clan. So what does this have to do with me? Asked Midna. Well, I'm going to have one more person on our team. That person is a medical ninja and can heal us on our journey if ever we're injured, said Sasuke. Yes, but Sasuke, what's my job? Asked a confused Midna. Your job is to warp us wherever we go, and to attack enemies with your Twilight spear, said Sasuke. Okay, but who is this person that you're talking about? Asked Midna. You'll see her once we get there, said Sasuke with a smirk. Oh really? And what's her name? Asked Midna. Karen, said Sasuke. All right, but we have to tell my father about this, said Midna. Very well, said Sasuke as he and Midna went to Calm's throne room. After telling Calm that Sasuke and Midna were going to go kill Itachi, Calm said. All right, go ahead, Sasuke. Take Midna with you to help kill your brother. But promise me one thing. Promise me that you will bring Midna home alive, said Calm. Hey, don't worry, Calm. Midna is safe with me. I assure you. Nothing is going to happen to her, said Sasuke. Goodbye, father, I love you, said Midna as she hugged Calm. Farewell, my daughter. Come home safely, all right? Asked Calm as Midna nodded her head. Come. It's time to go, Midna, said Sasuke as he and Midna exited the Palace of Twilight. Out of the Palace of Twilight. After leaving the Palace of Twilight, Sasuke and Midna were on their way to the southern hideout. Sorry, I forgot where it was located, to find Karen. As they reached the southern hideout, Sasuke and Midna finally came face to face with Karen. Who's this girl? Is she another one of your fangirls? Asked Karen. No. This is Midna, the Twilight Princess who comes from the Palace of Twilight back in Hyrule. She's coming with us, said Sasuke. Karen then looked at Midna for a moment, and then looked back at Sasuke. HMPH. Whatever, said Karen as she, Midna, and Sasuke went inside her room. So why did you call me here, Sasuke? Asked Karen. Karen, I'm going off to kill my brother, Itachi. However, Midna has to come with me. But, I need one more person to come with me for healing. Karen, since you're the medical ninja to do it, I need you to heal me and Midna, said Karen. Why do I have to heal Midna? I barely know her, cried Karen. Don't worry, you two will get to know each other more while we're on our way to Itachi's hideout. Well, let's go, said Sasuke. What? He expects us to come with him on his journey to kill Itachi. He makes us act like we're his babysitters. He's 16 years old. He can take care of himself. But then again, he still needs our help. So, I guess Karen and myself will stick around with him for now, thought Midna as she, Sasuke, and Karen were on their way to one of the Uchiha hideouts that Itachi was in. As Sasuke, Midna, and Karen got to the Akatsuki hideout, there was Itachi sitting in his chair, waiting for Sasuke to appear. That Sharingan, how much can you actually see with it? Asked Itachi. HMPH. How much can I actually see with these Sharingan eyes of mine? Asked Sasuke as he walked forward and put his katana in front of him, and said. What I see with this Sharingan, Itachi, is your death. HMPH. Is that so? Well then, said Itachi as appeared behind Sasuke, and said. Make it happen. As the two Uchiha brothers began fighting. One fight later. After Itachi and Sasuke's fight, Itachi surprisingly survived the battle, but had injuries that were not life-threatening. Soon, after Madara told Sasuke Midna, and Karen, who were with an unconscious Itachi and were in a cave Itachi and Sasuke made up, and thus ended up becoming Sasuke's right-hand man. Back at the Palace of Twilight. Sasuke made a speech to the Twilly back at the Palace of Twilight. My people, I have now safely returned Princess Midna back to the Palace of Twilight. Also, my brother Itachi now comes to the Palace of Twilight, but not as a criminal. Since he killed our Uchiha clan almost 10 years ago, Itachi has seen the light, and has decided to work together with me, so my uncle Madara, Itachi, Karen, and I will now remain in the Palace of Twilight, and will watch over Midna. Thank you, said Sasuke as he left the podium while some of the Twilly in the audience began to clap for Sasuke. However, Midna had no interest in Sasuke since he obviously had a crush on her. End of flashback. Yeah, that's pretty much how I met Sasuke, said Midna. Yeah, but Midna, you make it seem like Sasuke's a good guy although he really isn't, said a confused Naruto. Naruto, I will tell you more about my story with Sasuke later. For now, we have to help Killer Bee, said Midna as Naruto walked over to Killer Bee. Killer Bee, are you alright? Asked Naruto as Killer Bee came to, and saw Naruto standing over him. Huh, who are you? Why are you here? Asked Killer Bee. I'm Naruto Uzumaki. The Gorin elders, Hiruzen, Ao, and Ebizo sent me here to come rescue you, said Naruto as Killer Bee got up, began rubbing his head, and said. Ow, what happened? I remember touching something powerful, and then everything else was just black. Come, I'll tell you later. It's time for me to take you back to Death Mountain, said Naruto as he grabbed Killer Bee's hand as the two of them stepped into the warp portal and warped back to Death Mountain. When they got back to the Gorin Elders' sanctuary, all the Gorons and Gorin Elders were so happy to see Killer Bee alive and well. I've caused all of you so much trouble. I apologize for everything that's happened. My mind was so obsessed with power, that I've hurt that the people who I care about the most, said Killer Bee to the Gorons and the Gorin Elders. He then turned around to look at Naruto, and said, Naruto, thank you for saving me. You're welcome, Killer Bee. But do you know if Hiruzen can send a search party to find Sakura Haruno? She's a teammate, and a really close friend of mine, said Naruto. Wait, she's missing, you said? Asked Killer Bee. Well, she was kidnapped a few days ago, said Naruto. Oh, I see, very well then. Lord Hiruzen, what do you think we should do? Asked Killer Bee as he looked at Hiruzen. Well, since I do know that Sakura's the daughter of the 5th Hokage, Tsunade, and the Toad Sage, Jiraiya, I suppose I could send out a few Gorons or so to look for Sakura. Killer Bee, Jugo, you stay here with me. Ao, Ebizo, head for the Hidden Leaf Village and try to help out the Leaf Ninja in any way that they possibly can, said Hiruzen. Thank you, Hiruzen. I promise I'll come back to visit, cried Naruto with a grin. Good. But don't forget that Ao, and Ebizo are coming with you, said Hiruzen. I won't. Come on. Let's go, said Naruto as he left Death Mountain and Kurigakure with Ao, and Ebizo following close behind. Back in Konoha, Naruto, Ao, and Ebizo arrived at the hospital where Sai was after he got hit by King Bulban. As Naruto, Ao, and Ebizo got in Sai's room, they saw Tsunade healing him, while Zabuza, Haku, Ebisu, Choji, Ino, Shikamaru, Inoichi and Ayame, the parents of Ino, Asuma and Kurenai, the parents of Shikamaru and Choji, Uruka, Jiraiya, Kakashi and a pregnant Hinari, the parents of Sai, were watching Tsunade heal Sai. Grandma Tsunade, cried Naruto as Tsunade turned to look at him. I see you've returned, Naruto. Thanks to you, Haku, Zabuza, and Ebisu, Ino, Shikamaru, Choji, and Sai have been returned home safe and sound. Well, I heard that Sai was attacked by King Bulban. But, thanks to you, Naruto, you saved his life. No, you've saved Ino's, Shikamaru's and Choji's lives too. You should be proud of yourself, said Tsunade with a smile. Thanks, Grandma Tsunade, said Naruto as he rubbed the back of his head while smiling. After healing Sai, a few seconds later, he came to, and was surrounded by his friends and family. Sai, cried Naruto as Sai sat up. Sai, oh my sweet little baby boy. Your father and I were so worried about you, cried Hinari, who hugged him while sobbing. Mom, I'm fine thanks to Naruto, said Sai, who smiled at Naruto while Naruto smiled back. Now all we have to worry about is Sakura, said Tsunade as there was silence in the room. Everyone, could I talk to Naruto for a few minutes alone? Asked Sai. Sure, said Tsunade as she left with everyone else that was in Sai's room and left Naruto alone with Sai. Behind Sai's door to his hospital room, the Ino, Shikamaru, Choji, and Haku were eavesdropping on Sai and Naruto's conversation. So what is it you want to talk about, Sai? Asked Naruto. Naruto, you have to save Sakura, said Sai. Sai, haven't you already told me that? Asked Naruto. Yes. But, I see you didn't come back with her. So that means that she's not on Death Mountain, huh? Asked Sai. Naruto then sadly shook his head. Wait, are you saying that Sakura's alive? Asked Naruto. Yes. Or maybe those monsters took her somewhere else, and left her alone to die, said Sai. Well, I could try to follow the Bulban's trail on where they took Sakura, said Naruto. How are you going to do that? Asked Sai. I have my ways, said Naruto with a smile as he looked out the window and thought of Midna. Really? Well, do you think you might be able to save Sakura? Asked Sai. Sai, have I ever turned down a promise to a friend that I cared about? Asked Naruto with a smile. You're right, Naruto, I'm counting on you to save Sakura, said Sai. Well, what about you? Asked Naruto. I'm going to stay here in the hospital to recover. Hopefully, if you bring Sakura back to Konoha, I'll be back on my feet and feel better in no time, said Sai. Really? Well, I'll pray to the goddesses that you do, said Naruto with a smile. Thank you, Naruto, said Sai, who smiled at Naruto. Oh, Sai, I believe you dropped this, said Naruto as he took out Sai's sketchbook and gave it to him. My sketchbook. Naruto, where did you find this? Asked a surprised Sai. Let's just say that I found it while I was on my way to the land of waves to save you, Ino, Shikamaru, and Choji, said Naruto. Thanks, Naruto, said Sai with a smile. You're welcome. Well, I'm off to find Sakura. See ya, cried Naruto as he left the Konoha hospital, and left the Leaf Village as soon as possible. After Naruto left Konoha, Midna came out of his shadow, and said. So, we have to save Sakura, huh? Well, maybe she's located somewhere in the land of grass. Oh really, Midna, what are you, someone who can predict the future? Asked Naruto. No, but I could just feel it's as if she were there, said Midna. Well, what are we waiting for? Let's go save Sakura, cried Naruto as he and Midna were off to save Sakura and left Konoha. As Naruto and Midna reached Hyrule Field in the land of grass once again, they saw the big wall of Twilight again. For some reason, Naruto had a feeling that this would be the last of the Twilight realm that he'd ever see with Midna. In fact, Naruto also feared that this would be the last time that he'd ever see Midna again after getting all three of the fused shadows. Well, this is, Naruto. This is the last of the Twilight realm you'll ever see, said Midna as she noticed that Naruto became sad. Huh, hey, why the long face? Asked Midna. It's because this is probably going to be the last time that we're going to be together even though we haven't even known each other that long, said Naruto. Yeah, but after all the Twilight is gone, then, I'll find a way to come back to visit, said Midna. Really? How, Midna? Asked Naruto. I have my ways, said Midna. But Midna, you promised me that you'd help me find Sasuke, said Naruto. I know. Well, maybe he might be somewhere in the land of Twilight. What do you think? Asked Midna. Maybe, said Naruto. Well, do you want to go into the Twilt realm? Asked Midna. With a nod, Naruto answered. If it means for me to save Sakura, I'm ready for anything. Believe it. He. Great. I knew you'd say that. Well, here we go, cried Midna as she went inside of the Twilight realm, and took Naruto along with her by dragging him into the Twilight realm with her hair hand. The end.